Everybody, we are here for the season finale, and I haven't even put it in the title of the stream, but there we go. We are ready then for the finale, then the final time of the 100% League in what we are in 2024. Goodness me. And this is going to be it then for this final race then here in Abu Dhabi, of course, traditional place to end off the season in Formula One. And my voice is going already before we get started, which is fantastic because there's 100% of this to come up to you in just a jiffy then. But let me just update the title quickly, and there we can crack on then with the final race of the season as well. Then bear me 1 second whilst I get myself sorted. Hopefully that's be done. And yes, well, good on then. Young Lights has said good luck all then in the comment section. Then come on, Style says JVDA in the comments as well. Then rain in the race as well, says Lights. Good luck all then. Hopefully a lot. I'm not sure if he's joking or not, to be fair. Good luck all from R2B. Hopefully last time in the Alpine. And Styles said rain in Abu Dhabi. Then what a fantastic result we're going to, or not result, or a fantastic event we're going to have then tonight. Then if it's going to be raining in the race, then fantastic stuff indeed. Then Equaz said ALR, of course, supporting the champion, of course. Equaz now has been crowned, well, not crowned just yet, but of course he's not finished just yet, but he has been confirmed as the driver's title, driver's champion, I should say, then last round in the Qatar Grand Prix. of course, being taken almost all the way by Gordo as well. That was. But of course, wrapping up the championship then with a round to spare is Equaz then in the Williams. Then he has, I think, raced every race this season as well then so far. So that's pretty good stuff indeed. Then heading down the straight, then we'll have a look and see if we can test if we can hear the audio from the game. Yes, we can. Just about good stuff indeed. Right then, yes, going through into the chicane, then splitting up the first of the two straights, and the second straight, that is, obviously, between the two of them, there's a chicane, and that is where we're going to see some battling. I think tonight then there's going to be quite a few overtakes then into that chicane then, and along here then on the exit of that chicane as well, heading into Sector 3, then the new curved turn 9. As we head into this hotel complex and to finish off the hotel section, I should say, to finish off the lap here tonight then in the final sector, then Sector 3 then of the lap. So heading through a technical part, then this is where, of course, Latifi had his famous crash, which I believe is now a Google map. It's actually stamped then on Google Maps, and if you look at it there, it says something about Latifi's Corner. I think someone's put a pub there or something. But there we go. Then here comes Jin then up to the line then to start off his first, or the first, flying lap then in qualifying tonight. Then far effect rain could happen, says Equaz in the comment section. So it's not a joke. Then they are actually believing that there could be some rain in Abu Dhabi tonight. Then for the race, I believe we're not looking at seeing any of those into this qualifying session. It looks like nice and dusk out there as it stands then, but unfortunately we've been told that there might be some rain on the horizon then in the race. And raining, says Ginger Age, and goodness me for Ginger Age, and that might be terrifying. Oh my god, I can't get to the end of the sentence there without losing my voice. But yes, I think rain might be a bit terrifying then for some, especially around Abu Dhabi. Then we've had Abu Dhabi rain in the in ALR history before. Then I think it's the only time we've seen rain in ALR or ALR in Abu Dhabi, that is, and that was season 2 of Silver. I think it was in the finale as well there, and I think that was a championship defining race as well. Then for the final race of Silver season 2, the very long time ago that was then, but there was definitely rain involved in at that time as well then, so potentially we're going to have a repeat of that sort of situation where we had it was a bit of a crossover point in terms of the weather in the Silver season that many moons ago then. But here comes Jenna then round the final corner, so a bit of a crossover point then. So there were some drivers on medium compound tyres as Jenna does at 23.5 to set themselves underway in qualifying here. Yes, some drivers on medium compound tyres, some drivers on intermediate compound tyres, and nobody was quite sure what to use in their escapades then in qualifying. Then Lewis riding at 23.4 then for the Ferrari, then puts himself P2 because Brooksy has eclipsed his teammate then by the 23.2. Goodness me, there's too many 2s and 3s in that time then from Brooksy then, so he is there on pole position as it stands. Vessia then with a P4 then 23.6 for him. Mumford then at 23.9 then in the Haas, then puts himself P5 for the time being. But Kamara Racer then, who's usually pretty quick cookie in qualifying then at 23.6 as well, then only a thousandth away then from Vessia's time in P4 then 23.602 then. Lights has done a 23.6 as well, then puts himself P6 as it stands in the kick hour. Then we've got somebody else coming across the line then. Equus has retired in the pit lane. Kiki struggling on that there. Unfortunately for Kiki, then he's about to his time. RTB coming through the chicane then in the middle part of that. Then Lucas Percy heading under the hotel and into the penultimate couple of corners now then for the kicks out. And then can he displace his teammate down to P7 that would be, if he can go faster than P6 as it stands then. But here comes Lucas Percy then up to the line then in the kicks out. It's P7 and he is on a 23.8 then for his first outing. Ginger Rage then, speaking of outings then, there is Ginger Rage then, and he did mention in bronze, I think it was, or silver or gold, I'm not quite sure which one it was, but something about his helmet, and he said that I don't give his helmet enough love then, so I need to polish that helmet then and make it shine then for Ginger Rage and heading through into turn 5, and there it is then, a very bright pink and bulbous helmet then we've got there from Ginger Rage, looking very good indeed. And maybe he got a bit of a toe here from a kick sour and then heading down and back straight then. Here he goes then. He's going to have a very nice toe indeed then from Lucas Percy, I think that is, as he gets out of the way then just in time before the chicane then. And I think that was very fortunate then from Ginger Rage that that was the case then, as Chappers then puts himself into P3 then, splitting the Mercedes and Ginner then and Lewis Riley then P3 then for the Haas then 23.5 for Chappers as it stands in. Even and don't listen to Ginge, says Mushroom as well then. Okay, never mind, it's not raining in the race. I'm not quite sure if it is raining in the race then, to be fair or not, but apparently I've been told not to listen to Ginge, says Mushroom, so I will heed the Mushroom's words of advice, I would imagine. I'm not quite sure what the Mushroom's advice is, but yes, Mushroom's advice then currently is that it's not going to be raining. This man here then is looking to try and get himself his first time on the board. Then he's got a nice toe from Lucas Percy, then up to the line. It's a 24-4, puts himself P12, then just behind R2 beating P11 and ahead of Vintage in P13. Then so Ginger Age, and even with that toe then, and the mischief of whether it's rain, oh dear, very drifty indeed. That back end then is looking very flighty then, as Sean would say. But yes, I'm not sure whether his mischievous rain comments are true or not then. But we are going to find out, I suppose, then in this race. So we'll have to wait and see. R2B is starting off another lap as well. In Reflection then coming through to finish off an in lap. Then he's currently P10 then into the top 10 as it stands. I do have to say that, of course, you need to make sure you get your race directors here tonight as well. Then we didn't discuss it then in the pre-race lobby, that is, but of course the pit lane still offers a few problems then in terms of giving you a warning when you do come into the pit lane, so make sure that you have your race director recorded then for your race as well at the end of the Grand Prix then, and we can have a look at penalty removals, that sort of thing then. Of course, I think if you just avoid going anywhere near the curbs then on the pit entry, then you'll be alright, but it is just that right hand pit entry curb that is the issue, I believe, as we go through then into the hotel section. Ginger Age coming back into the pit lane, then he's currently P12. R2B then looking to improve then on P11, then a 24-3 then for the Alpine driver. Then let's see what he can do then heading into Sector 3 very shortly. Where is the line into Sector 2? Sector 3, I should say. I'm not quite sure where it's gone then, to be fair. So it's all the way back there. Never mind. I missed it. Right then, fair enough. So heading through under the hotel and into the penultimate corner now then for R2B. Then let's see what it's going to be then to finish off the lap then for the Alpine. We're not going to see because he's into the pit lane, and there is the case in point then, avoiding the curb then on that inside right. Will have avoided that track invalidation there as well then, so that is where you need to avoid then when you come back into the pits, or do enter the pits then in the Grand Prix itself as well then. There we are then. Hola, says Gordon, then good luck all then, been a cracking season, says Gordo as well then in the Aston Martin tonight then. Of course then he has taken took the title fight then all the way to the penultimate round of the season then last week in Qatar then. It has been claimed by Equaz in the Williams then, of course, and of course there's still pride on the line then for Gordo then and for Equaz as well. Then Equaz looks like he's starting from the back of the field then tonight. There's a bit of a challenge then for the champion then here in Abu Dhabi. Then we'll have to wait and see how that fares there. But Mumford then looking to improve then on a P9 position as it's now 23.9 for the Haas driver. Then his teammate is 4/10 of a second, or 4.5 of a second ahead of him in P3 as it stands there. But can Mumford find some more time then in this lap? Then Ginner's done a 23.1 in the Mercedes, then puts himself P1 as it stands as well, then ahead of Brooksy then by a 10th of a second, or just under a 10th of a second as well. Then good stuff indeed. Lewis Riley back out on circuit as well. Then where is Mumford heading through under the hotel, and we'll see what the Haas can do then. That back end getting a bit sprightly then as we go through the penultimate couple of corners then into the final part of the lap then for Mumford, then up to the line. What's it going to be then this time for the Haas driver? Then it's a 23.7, puts himself P8. He has gained a place then on Lucas Percy then and jumped up to P8 as well. And he's in a bit of a kick Sauber sandwich, as I should say at the moment. Good stuff indeed. And we just had who have we had? We've had Brabbit then jump up to a P3, then splitting the Ferrari pair then in a 23.260 onto the top three steps. Then Kamara Racer improves to P4, a 23.4 for him. Then Young Lights, I think, has started off another lap now. Yes, he has then. Good stuff indeed. Vessi then heading through into the chicane. Then Chap is also starting off another lap as well then. So there we go. Lewis Riley, I think, back into the pit then, unfortunately abandoning his previous time. Then he wasn't improving, I think, on that second attempt then. So we'll see what he can do then on the next run or so. Good stuff. Who is next to cross the line is the question. We've just had a Red Bull start off a lap then. I think that might be Vintage, because it looks like Vintage actually finishing off a lap. Then he's done 25.1. Hungry Star was stuck in the pit lane, so it wasn't him then on track. Then we've got a Mercedes of Reflection. No, it's not Reflection. It's Jenna then coming back into the pit lane then. So we'll come back to him then. Looks like Reflection. There's a Ferrari trying to get out of the way then of Brooksy as well as we go through this. Ginger Ray then next across the line. Then Ginger Ray coming back into the pit lane here, and unfortunately has invalidated his time, then abandoning that time as well here. Then good stuff indeed then for Ginger Ray. Vessi then finishing off a lap. I think he is finishing off a lap, but he has not improved on that previous time then, so we'll come back to him as well then. Kamara Racer then coming back to the pit lane. Where is his teammate Kiki then? Kiki, oh dear, oh goodness me, Kiki has jumped up to P2. Kiki's onto the front row of the grid then, goodness me. 23-1 from Kiki on his first outing in qualifying here tonight as well then. 6.5 minutes left then, but Kiki then onto the front row of the grid then with one and done then in this, well not one and done, it's one so far done in this qualifying then. He's P2 then after that, then Young Lights improves to P5, then Chappers takes pole position with a 23.094 then ahead of Gina then by just over a half a tenth of a second. Goodness me, then it's getting close out front then it looks like. Kiki then down to P3 then, but pretty good stuff needed on his first attempt in qualifying here. Young Lights then is up into P6 then, he's improved to a 23.3. My goodness me, there's too many 3s and 2s all over the place now. Percy then heading down onto the back straight and might get a nice little toe then from his teammate then down this back straight as well, then heading through towards the middle part of the chicane then. Very good teamwork indeed then from Kicksau, and then here we go, there's a slingshot then from Lucas Percy, or from Young Lights then into to Lucas Percy. Goodness me, not into Lucas Percy. My goodness me, that's very dodgy stuff indeed then. Gordo then looking to improve, then heading through into sector 3 very shortly, then Reflection I think is cruising back to the pit lane now. He needs to make sure he gets out of the way then of this man here, Lucas Percy, who is charging through then into that final corner. 0.2 of a second gain on his current time will put him into the remit with Vessia as it stands in P9. Unfortunately for Lucas Percy, not where he's where he usually wants to be. Then unfortunately for Key, he's had an issue somewhere with his front wing, and I think we'll have to come back into the pit lane after that. Chapper's cruising back to the pits as well. Then Young Light said, "Oh dear, as Lucas Percy had a spin." Then Lucas had a spin at the exit. Funnily enough, then at the exit then of the hotel complex, which is where we saw Latifi have his well, a bit further up the track then was Latifi, but we saw quite a dodgy area then to keep control of the car. Then it seems a few people have had some sort of issues over there. Lucas Percy having a few issues as well then, so that's fantastic stuff indeed. Right then. Where is Gordo? Gordo coming through, then he's up into P7 now in the Aston Martin, ahead of his teammate now with a 23.336 for Aston Martin at the Aston Martin for Gordo. Then Ginger Age has said P4 for the McLaren in the constructors, says Ginger Age then, so I think they're going to have, oh dear. Gordo's had a bit of an escapade then, trying to get himself back into the pit, I think then. I think they're going to have quite a challenge on their hands then with the rest of the field then for P4 in the constructors then for Ginger Age and Serious Mushroom then in McLaren. We'll have to wait and see them, especially seeing as Mushroom then is not qualifying and Ginger Age is down in P15 as it stands. But of course, if he can find that second and a half, then he will be on pole position then, so it's not too far away from Ginger Age then. Even though, and good luck then to Rocket Lee as well. Of course, Rocket Lee has come back to the fore in the bronze division. Oh dear, Ginger then escaping over the chicane as well. Then unfortunately, that is not going to help your time. Then keep it within track limits. That is. Gordo then is coming back into the pit. He's got 3.5 minutes or so then to spare. Mumford then also starting off another lap then on the hard compound tyres. Oh, it looks like it's hard compound tyres with the light shining on the tyre, that tyre wall from that angle then, but there we go. Then it's soft compound tyres then for Mumford then, I can confirm. But yes, of course, Rocket Lee then jumping back in. Time is looking rapid, says Equinox as well. Then too close, says Young Lights as well as it stands. Then there is only a couple of tenths of a second separating pole position then down to down to P7 as it stands. Then P8 is involved, P9 is involved. Lucas Percy is almost involved as well in P12 that is. But here comes Mumford then. We'll watch Mumford first, because here he comes then up to sector 3. What's the time saying? Then it's almost 3 tenths improvement. Then that would put him pretty comfortably. Where would it put him? Into the mid points and mid part of the points, I should say. Then as it stands, cruising into the hotel complex, and he's harvesting a lot of energy then into this part of the circuit. Then the final part of the circuit now, and I think this could be one and done then for not one and done. I should say I keep saying that, but it's not the final time. Well, not the final time we'll see Mumford on the track then, but it might be the final time in qualifying here as we head into the final quarter then for Mumford, then up to the line then for the Haas. Then what's it going to be? It's a 23.3, puts himself P8 for the time being. Equinox P10 for the Red Bull then is where they belong. This is Styles then as well. Unfortunately, Styles, you haven't got yourself out of the box then, so that would help if you qualify. Maybe. Alex, what's the pit lane glitch thingy? Basically, don't touch the curbs on the entry then, and you will get, otherwise you'll get a warning then. It's just to give you an extra warning then. So again, penalties then do start to rack up then for making more than one stop in the pit lane, that is, or technically you should be making a stop in the pit lane, but that's fair enough. But I meant if you are making a scheduled stop, regardless of a scheduled stop or not, then if you go into or go over the curbs or near the curbs or touch the white line in the pit entry, then you will get a warning then for your troubles. And of course, in most cases, you're not cutting the corner. So there we are. But there we are. A few drivers then out on track. And I think Kamara Race is... No, he's not. I don't think he's on the lap then, but he's used a lot of hers. I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. Kamara Race is then currently P6 then as it stands. And maybe get himself back to the pit lane as well. Here then we've got Ginger Rage back out on circuit as well. And Ginger Rage coming through. Oh dear, he's invalidated his time. He's back underway. I think he's got time to go again then. But has he got the fuel and the ERS is the question. Then he's off on his hunt. Off on his hunt then for next position then. And away he goes then. Oh dear, we've got all sorts of anarchy going on here. There's a kick sabre all over the place, and there's all sorts of other action going through. There's Mumford then coming back into the pit lane now. He's going to be P9 at best, I think, here in qualifying. He's got time to get himself back out of the pit set and set himself underway then for another outlane. Mumford then retiring in the pit lane. P9 at best then for Mumford. Oh my God, there's a Ferrari stranded. There's a what's going on here? There's a racing ball then, and it's Kamara Racer then, I think, trying to get himself back into the pit lane then, but he's, oh dear, he's clouting the wall as well then going through. We've got a young ones in starting off a lap then. My God, there's all sorts of anarchy then as we get ourselves onto the final laps here of qualifying in the final race of 2024 then for the event league. Kamara Racer has retired in the pit lane then, so he is done and dusted then. But my goodness me, I thought there's all sorts of anarchy then going through to start off the final laps there as well then. But hopefully they're all sorted now. Good stuff indeed. Right, B Rabbit then, I think, is the next man, or the first man, to finish off his qualifying here in Abu Dhabi then, after those who have just retired in the pit lanes, or not bother getting themselves out of the pit lanes, that is. But now into the hotel section then for Rabbit then into the last few turns then of the season, of the qualifying, I should say, of the season, that is. We've got a race coming up as well then. So that's that then. Wow, these tyres have died quickly, says Blair, says Gordon then. Sean's letting us down then. Good job, he is sexy, says Mushroom as well. Then Rabbit into the pit lane, P6. Going to be the best for him as it stands, best position as it stands then for him in this session. Then Lewis Riley then round the final corner then for Ferrari. Then let's see what it's going to be then from Lewis Riley. It's P3 and improves by almost 3/10 of a second then to get himself onto the top three, then onto the second row of the grid as it stands as well. Then good stuff indeed. Where is we've got Private then in the pits, P7 now. Then here comes Young Lights then into the final couple of corners as well. Then Percy has or stays P12, I should say. Then here comes Young Lights then round the final corner. Then Kiki has gone faster. Young Lights P3 then into the top echelons then for the kick sabre. Then another Ferrari of Brooksy takes pole position as it stands. My voice has Gordo's P3 then. My voice is going, and Brooksy takes pole position as it stands as well. Then he's currently on the top step then into the 22s, as is Kiki as well. Then I think that's going to be it then, unless Reflection can try and do something, unless somebody else can try and do something, but I can't see that happening at the moment because everyone's just finished, and Reflection's coming in the pit lane as well then. So there we are then, unfortunately for Reflection, then he is not going to be able to improve on his previous time. Then Brooksy is your pole sitter then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Sean's oh no, says Equaz then as well then, and that's even with Percy getting me slipstream, says Ginger Rage as well then. So I think returning the favour then from earlier on in qualifying as well then. Good stuff indeed. But Brooksy then 22.920 then pole position then for the Ferrari driver then here in Abu Dhabi then for the final time in 2024 for the 100% league, and he is looking to try and claim himself and Ferrari some big points here tonight as well then in the Middle East. Then good stuff indeed. Then Kiki will run through the classification actually because I missed it, but Kiki was P2 then, but Kiki on the front row of the grid then for the quite a few times actually then in this 100% season. But we'll have a look through the classification quickly then before we get ourselves through the lovely advertisements from our sponsors and then into the race itself. Then so Kiki P2 then in the Reza Cash App Racing Bull. I'm going to call them Racing Bull still. Gordo then P3, then good stuff from him. Then Chappers then P4, then Young Lights P5, Jinner P6, Lewis Riley P7, then Vessia P8, and Reflection P9, Brabbit P10, rounding off the top 10 in the Williams then. Kamara Racer P11, then in the end Mumford P12, then Lucas Percy P13, then RTB P14, Ginger Rage P15, Vintage P16, slowest on the time runners unfortunately for Vintage, but can he do it in the race? Styles, Farf, Equaz and Mushroom didn't get time on the board. There we go. Rightio then. I'll see you on the other side. Right, then we're back then, or almost ready to get going for the race itself. And my voice is still struggling already then. Good stuff. Perfect stuff indeed. Just what you need at this time of the night when you're trying to commentate on the 100% race. But there we are then. We'll switch on to the tyre history, that sort of thing, and we'll see what we're going to be starting the race on then for the 57 laps, I think it is around here, same as Qatar I believe it is, in terms of total lap time that is, but we will wait and see how it's going to fare then here in the dusk night sky then of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to finish off the season then. And unfortunately, like I said, no rain in sight then for Ginger Age, so that's going to be bad news for him then, but I don't know if anybody's actually wanting rain here in Abu Dhabi or not, but it will be interesting. But we'll find out then, as without the tow, without the tow, Ginger Age would have been 18th instead of 16th. Oh, no, he's 15th. Sorry, terribly sorry about that. But there we are then. Good stuff indeed. Then Brooksy leads the way. Then he is on the medium compound tyres. Then in the Ferrari. Then Kiki on the front row, also on the medium compound tyres. As is Gordo and Chappers then P3 and P4 respectively. Then for the second row of the grid. Then making up the second row. Then for the Aston Martin and the Haas then as well. Hard compound tyres then for row 3. Then that is Young Lights in P5 and Ginner in the Mercedes P6 as well. Then good stuff indeed. Interesting choice of strategy as well to start this race as well. We'll have to wait and see then who is going to be coming out on top in terms of the first stint, that is. But we're looking for a fast stint then. It looks like for those on the medium compound tyres then Lewis Riley then P7, then medium compounds for the Ferrari driver, then as is Vessier in P8 in the Aston Martin, then Reflection and Brabbitt then round off the top 10. Then they are both on the medium compound tyres as well. Then Kamara Racer just outside the top 10 in P11, then medium compound tyres for the Racing Bull. Then we've got hard runners then of Mumford, then P12 and Lucas Percy in P13. So both the kick salvers opting for the hard compound tyres to start this race. Then R2 P14 medium compound tyres for him. Then as is Ginger Age on the in the probably pink helmet in the McLaren I should say. Vintage also opting for the medium compound tyres P16. Then we've got Styles on the hards in P17, Favre on the hards P18 in the Alpine. Equaz, the champion, of course, after being crowned the drivers champion last round in Qatar. Starting from the back of the field then to give himself a bit of a challenge, I think then. Although I think, to be fair, he did have a challenge from Gordo and R2 then for the driver's title then for the majority of the season. But he's on the medium compound tyres, as is Mushroom then in P20 in the McLaren as well. Fantastic. Right then, here we go. We will get ourselves lined up to take us away then for the final time in 2024, the final race then of the 100% League in this season as well. Then 5 red lights coming on here in Abu Dhabi. Then the 5 red lights are on then for the final time. The lights are out then and away we go then for the final race of the 100% Season 3 season. As we go into turn 1 then, it looks like Brooksy has held on to the lead and now Kiki's been challenged by Gordo. Gordo's gone out wide then into the first 2 turns and now going filtering through then into the end of sector 1. Then it looks like Brooks has got a nice lead already, then heading into the hairpin, then into the final for the first sector complete then for the Ferrari driver. Then heading into that, there's a kick Sam and diving down the inside then. That could be interesting stuff indeed with Gordo involved as well. My God, my voice is already not able to hold up on this stage of the race as well, it seems. But so far so good then. Where is the position changes, we'll ask. Young Lights up 2 places already, then into P3. Gordo coming back at it and then down the outside, then into the chicane and go then. And this is where we're going to see a few chopping and changes. And I think Young Lights has gone a bit wide then as well. Then Gordo then has got himself back out into P3. Then Chappers then looking to get himself past Young Lights as well into P4. My God then. And now here comes Young Lights then. Chappers can't get himself past them. Young Lights is using all the power then in that kick salvage, trying to get himself back up into the podium places here. And there's he's almost made contact with the back of that Aston Martin, but he stays P4 for the time being, heading into the hotel complex for the first time. It's 58, that's not 57. Get it right then, Alex, you're wrong. But Brabbitt is having a bit of a battle then as with Lewis Riley then as we go around the hotel section. And Brabbitt then is, oh dear, he's ghosted. There's some sort of ghosting going on there as well. My goodness me, they're not quite sure what is happening there. But P7 then for the Williams driver is up 3 places as well. Then good stuff indeed. Lucas Percy getting 4 places as well on the opening lap. Then into the top 10, into the top 9, I should say, then for Lucas Percy. DRS now available then onto lap 2. And a great start indeed then from the field as well. Then unfortunately for Vintage, he's lost out 4 places. 2 for Ginger Age, then 2 for R2 Beat then as well. Then Mumford has lost 2 places. Reflection has lost 3 places as well. Then Vesser has lost 2 down to P10 as it stands then. And there's all sorts of things going on here as well. Then heading into the hairpin then, of course, They need to keep it clean and tidy, of course, don't they? As we go through into the onto the back straight, then DRS and the rear wing will be opening up then for the majority of drivers heading down this back straight, and they're all within DRS range then of the field, then of the race leader. Then there is P1 down to P20 there. Fantastic scenes indeed in Abu Dhabi then as we go into the final race of the season. And we've got yellow flags. Problem then for Reflection. This Reflection's had an issue somewhere then at the chicane. Then he spun the car around, then trying to get himself back underway. And unfortunately, that was I'm not quite sure what happened there. There might have been costly indeed. Then Lewis Riley's back past B Rabbit, then into sector 3 then, and now he's ahead. Now he's ahead of the Williams. Can he charge on then from P7 forwards as well? Then we'll wait and see then. But so far, that an absolute fantastic start of this race. Then Lucas Percy's lost out to Vessia, I think, then into the DRS part of the lap. Then Equus is up 7 places as well. Then I'm not quite sure what's going on. There's obviously something knocking on my door, but nonetheless, a little crack on the commentary. Unfortunately, sorry about that. But there we are then. Reflection that is trying to catch up now. Vintage has also lost out to the DRS train. Then heading into sector 3. Then Brooksy's got the fastest lap. Then Gordo's got the fastest lap. Lewis Riley's got the fastest lap. Then heading on to lap 3 now as well. Then of course the DRS then has been aiding those drivers. Then of course with the fresh tyres as well. Heading into turn 3, then Kiki is trying to hold on to Brooksy. Then Brooksy's on a bit of a charge here. It looks like in the Ferrari as it stands, they're trying to hold on to that DRS. Then is Kiki then, but can he do it is the question. He can do just about then. I think then that detection point then before that hairpin corner, and he is going to be within that 1 second window just about then to open that rear wing. Then heading down towards the chicane, and Gordo then looking to spice up his positions as well. Then where is Gordo? Then can he get himself past? I think he's going to have to think about his time. Oh dear, we've got movers and shakers further down the order. Then Chappers. Oh dear, and Jenner then. Oh God, where is the Mercedes? Where's the Haas? Where's the Ferrari? Then there they are. Then I think Jenner has got himself up into P6. Then P5. Sorry, I should say. Then now Chappers coming back at him into sector 3. Then Lewis Riley's got himself past Chappers as well. Then into that sector 3, and he has got himself up into P6 now as Lewis Riley. Then good stuff indeed. And on the charge, then Chappers has lost the pace now. But I think Chappers is on the hard compound tyres, isn't he? Yes. No, he's not. Then unfortunately. I'm not quite sure. I thought he was on the hard compound tyres, wasn't he? I'll have a look now. No, it's hard compound with Ginner and Young Lights. Then it looks like. Then Vessia has passed Brabbit as well. Then Brabbit then struggling at this point of the lap. Then Beatty said, let's go Kiki as well. Then Kiki is staying within DRS range then of the race leader Brooksy onto the 4th lap now, I should say. And the first 3 laps then have been completed now as we filter through them. The majority of the field are all within photo shot as it stands then, which is fantastic stuff indeed. And they're doing a brilliant job here in the opening stages of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Then the final race, like I keep saying, of the season, the final race of 2024 then for the 100% league here in ALR as well then. So fantastic stuff indeed. Then so far everyone's got off to a good start. Let's have a look and see how it's going to fare then for the remaining 54 laps or so, then 55 laps at the moment, as we cruise then into this first stint of the race as well. Then Lucas Percy up into the points paying positions now as well. Then there is the kick saddle all over the back of B Rabbit, heading down towards the final chicane. Then let's see if there's going to be any shakers into the chicane once again. Then always late on the brakes then is B Rabbit. Then they lock it up the inside, or both tyres actually on the front, not just the inside tyre, but he has managed to keep himself out of any danger then as well. Then kept P9 as well. Equaz has got himself past Kamara Race, then up into P11. And of course Equaz started from the back of the field then after competing in the Drivers' Championship then in round 2021, sorry, I should say, then in the last week then in Qatar. So now he's just going to have a nice cruise, a casual drive then to the finish line here tonight then in Abu Dhabi. Then there's no pressure on Equaz here tonight as it stands, unless he wants to put it on himself then. And Kamara Race is putting the pressure on it into the hotel section as well. Then he has passed Farf then for P12. Let's see how that fares as well. Then on to lap 5 of 58 then. Goodness me, we've had 5 laps of absolutely fantastic action then in this opening stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Then there they are filtering through then, all in close proximity still at this point of the race as well. Then as we fly through into lap 5 now as well, then heading through turn 3, then Kiki holding on then to the race leader of Brooksy. Then I think Brooksy then was looking to try and extend that gap over 1 second a couple of laps ago now, but Kiki has reined him in then and rolled him back into contention then for that race lead position as well. Then heading on to the back straight then with some DRS then and some ERS maybe to play with then for the racing bull driver. Then rear wing open then for Kiki, heading down towards the final chicane now into lap 5. Then let's see if he's going to make a charge then for the race leader. Not quite, then he stays behind. He might be opening the door then for another attack then down towards sector 3 if he can stay close enough then through the chicane as well. Then heading through into the second DRS zone as well, then flying down this straight. Then can he get himself close enough? Then can he get himself a charge for the race lead? into Sector 3 then. Not quite, then he stays behind. I think he does, yes he does, for the time being. Then Young Lux then P4, Juno P5, then Lewis Riley P6, and they've stalled out in his attempts to get himself further through the field now. I think at the moment for Lewis Riley, he's holding on very nicely indeed then for P6. As it stands, then Chappers then down a couple of places, then he's down to P8, and as it stands as well, then medium compound tires for him. Bree Rabbit then seems to have got himself stabilised and back underway, then he's P9 for the time being. Then Lucas Percy on the hard compound tyres has gained 3 places from the starting grid, that is, but now looking to just solidly hold on then to the top field. Then of course the majority then of the medium compound tyres will have to pit before him on the hards as well, and so that is probably the strategy then for those on the hard compound tyres, are just trying to stick with the medium runners then as it stands at this point of the race, and then wait for their tyres to start to drop off a bit quicker than the medium than the hard runners later on then in this stint as well. Then so we'll have to find out then who's going to be calling what then in terms of the strategy. We'll have to wait and see, but we'll have to find out then later on then, as we've got Mushroom then up into P15. Ginger H trying to hold on to his teammate then as well. Then unfortunately for R2 beating Reflection, they've had some of the issues then as well. Then it seems, as has Vintage and Styles then back down the back of the field. Then Gordo is taking the move, taking the lead. Sorry, no, he's taking the lead as Kiki then into the chicane. Then he's got himself past Brooksy then, but Brooksy's been passed by Gordo as well as we head into the chicane then on lap 6 only, and flying then onto the back straight once again. Then DRS available for Gordo then, but Kiki has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, and I completely missed it, which is not untoward, I suppose you could say. I missed everything. Father's passed Kamara Racing then up into P12 then for the Alpine, trying to chase down at the top 10 as well. Then he's still within DRS range. Gino and Lewis Riley then are battling away then into the hotel section. There is not an overtaking place really, but Gino's got himself stays in P5, and they've still managed to keep himself within the DRS train as well. Then battling through there, then he's not going to be helpful for your time, unfortunately. Then in most cases. As Ginger Red picked up the first penalty of the evening, so at least he's first at something, but he's got himself the first penalty of the evening for the McLaren team. Then unfortunately then for Ginger Ray picking up the pens, going through into the hotel section as well then in sector 3, and that Ferrari then looking a bit shaky then out of the first couple of corners then as well. Then Brooksy now has lost the lead. Then can he charge back up into the top of the order? Then we'll have to wait and see. Then on lap 7 now, as heading through through the hairpin then onto the back straight, then with some DRS then to try and get himself back up into that race lead as well here. Now we'll ride on board with the Ferrari and see what there's going to be doing, what the Aston Martin Accord is going to be doing then, and the Ferrari itself then of Brooksy heading into the chicane. Then no status quo. It looks like we're heading through that part of the circuit. Then Mumford and Farf and Kamara are in a bit of a battle then, as there's ghosting going on there as well then, and Farf has ghosted through Kamara Racer, which is great stuff indeed then, but I'm not quite sure what is going on there, but they seem to have got themselves sorted. Gordo's taken the lead then from Kiki, and oh dear, what's happened? Brooksy's been passed by Young Lights as well here. Looks like Brooksy's starting to struggle on the medium compound tyres potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Then Kiki is under pressure from Young Lights as well. Now heading into the hotel section, he stayed in P2. He's held on to P2. He's fought for P2. Then he stays P2. For now, then, as Jinner's had an issue, then somewhere, oh yeah, Jinner's in a fight. Then there's ghost cars all over the place as well once again, and Vess here up into P5. Then Jinner trying to get himself back through into P6. Nope, he's ghosting still inside of. I'm not quite sure what is going on here. Then Lewis Riley, I think, might be having a few connection issues, which is causing a few ghost cars around him. But I think, yeah, Vess here up into P5 now, and they've lost out to the DRS then of the top 4, unfortunately, as well, and with that, whatever was going on there, but some sort of shenanigans has occurred, and that's what has happened, and that's fair enough. But yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be, I think, a few people having a few ghost issues, and we saw Farf and Kamara and Mumford having a few ghost issues as well into the chicane then at this part of the lap as well. Chappers has passed Lewis Riley then. I think Lewis Riley has had an issue then with his internet, unfortunately, which is why he is dropping down the field. Then he seems to be still in the car then, as Brabbit then has gone through for P7. Then Brabbit with a double overtake then into the chicane. There's contact, and I think Lewis Riley has just about got himself through unscathed. He seems to be there's all sorts of pieces here, isn't there? Yeah, Lucas Percy's got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting, and my God, what's happened there? He's oh dear, and now there's oh dear, Chappers is going to go through. Then there's more problems as well. Then there's a Ferrari, there's a Williams. Oh my God! And I'm not quite sure what's happened to Lucas Percy either as well. Then it seems to be having some sort of problems as well for Lucas Percy. Then he's trying to get himself back underway then, and he's under pressure now from Lewis Riley again. Then Lewis Riley's dropped down the field again, unfortunately for Lewis, having some sort of, I think, technical difficulties. Then we've got Farf then again inside of Lewis Riley once again. Fantastic racing, and yes. Not sure what is going on there. I think, unfortunately for Lewis, it's probably his internet connection. I think it's causing the issues there. But fingers crossed we can get that sorted, or he can get that sorted, and get himself back in the session. And we will find out. We will await further instruction then from the Codemasters internet gods. Right then, out in front, then Young Lights looking to shape her move then into the hairpin then on Gordo, who's leading the Grand Prix very nicely indeed. And he has got the top four then, who have been caught almost, I think, by Jinna then. Jinna's got the DRS then into this back straight, not quite then for Jinna, unfortunately then, so he's going to have to try and do it the hard way. Vessia then has lost out then to the Mercedes driver. Then Young Lights has taken the lead of the Grand Prix on the hard compound tyres into the chicane on lap 9 here. So Young Lights now on the hard compound tyres, then trying to motor on then on those hards, and potentially they could be becoming the best race tyre then at this point of the race as well. Then let's go. Kiki says beast, then hi says Sam as well. Then good stuff from those two as we get ourselves a yellow flag then, as we've got a problem then for not Lewis Riley, I don't think, again this time. No, it's not Lewis Riley then, it's a Mercedes, I think, Reflection having an issue then out of the chicane, unfortunately for Reflection, then but got himself back underway quickly enough and soldiering on then out there. Good stuff indeed. Then Jinna's picked up a penalty as well. Then penalties for Ginger Age, then for Lucas Percy and for Jinna. I'm not quite sure how Lucas Percy got his 10-second penalty as well. He seemed to have cut the chicane somewhere. But he got a 10-second penalty, so that was a bit of an odd one. But he is carrying on then nonetheless. Then he's currently back up into P10. And my voice still trying to hold on then at this point. Then Lewis Riley's into the pit lane, and Lewis is calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. Then unfortunately for Lewis, I'm not sure if he had if he just involved in a few battles then, or if he had some sort of technical glitch then, because he was definitely ghosting at certain points in of the last couple of laps or so, especially when in close proximity to other drivers as well. And so unfortunately that is well, maybe it's not costing, because he's now into the pit lane and to potentially go for an undercut here. Equaz and Lucas Percy then, two very quick drivers indeed, then are battling away. Then Gordo's got himself back up into the race lead, then passing Young Lights then into the chicane then on lap 10. Now these two carrying on their fight then for the race lead as we cruise on to lap 10 of 58. Then so far so good. Then Kiki then close proximity in P3, then Brooksy then P4. Jinna's got himself back into DRS range then in P5 then, and is looking to shape for a rebound then into P4 then. Goodness me, then Brooksy then is being passed then by the Mercedes into P4. Then somebody with a very large appendage has gone past my window then and showing off the size of their fantastic engine as well then. But we've got some fantastic engines here instead then, so we're watching this in the action and unfold here in Abu Dhabi tonight. Then it's still not completely dark just yet. Then of course the time does go through then, during this race, and time does change through this race I should say then, and it will get a bit darker as we go through the race itself as well. And of course starting off at about dusk time, whichever time that is. I'm not quite sure if that's an official time or not then really, but it starts off when it gets a bit sunsetty and it gets a bit darker throughout the race then, and the floodlights come on then, but they're already on here tonight, so there we go. Vessia then is struggling to try and hold on to the DRS then of the top 5 now as well. Then maybe B-Rabbit and Chappers and Lucas Percy might be thinking about trying to get themselves through then, as Lucas Percy trying to go through on Chappers. Goodness me, there's contact between the two of them there as well. They're heading through onto the back straight and through the hairpin then. I think Lucas Percy then has got himself round the outside then of the Haas, then up into, we've got problems then for Hungry Styles. Then Styles has had an issue, it's a safety car, and Hungry Styles has crashed into the wall. Then there's a problem then, so there's Father's got himself past Equaz just in time, and I think has got himself up into P10 then just about as well. Then safety car's been deployed then. Lewis Riley then might be he might be ruining that. I'm not quite sure actually. He might be able to get himself quite a few places back actually after that as well. Then Hungry Styles then causing the safety car then with a crash then at turn 3. It looks like then there's a seems to be without a front wing then, I think, then for the Red Bull then on the hard compound tyres. So that's his race, well, not his race done and dusted, because he's now got a safety car that he's caused, then he'll catch back up then. But we'll have to wait and see what the leaders are going to be doing then, what the rest of the field are going to be doing as well here at this point of the Grand Prix. Then has it affected the strategy then? When will the rain fall as well then? Of course we've been told that Ginger Age then that it's going to be raining at this point, at some point in the race as well then, but I'm not quite sure that's true. As it looks like he's taking a bit of a leisurely time trying to get himself into the pit lane here as well then. Gordon is going to go into the pits as well here, so he's calling it a day there on the medium compound tyres. Young Lights' Vessia's got a 3-second over then. I think that's for the pit entry then, so again that can be reviewed after the race then. Same for Kamara Racer as well then. Nobody heeding the warning then of the penalty situation then, but Young Lights then has stayed out at this point. Same for Jenna then, same for Farf, same for Mumford as well then. Into the pits comes the rest of the field though, including Lucas Percy on the hard compound tyres as well. So there we are then. Lewis Riley then will come down the pit straight. Then where will Lewis Riley filter out then in terms of the rest of the order? There's quite a few drivers then he will pass in the pit lane as it stands. So he might be able to gain quite a few places here as well. Then heading into the first couple of turns in, he's going to be up into P12. I think then, yeah, he's ahead of Mushroom, then Mushroom onto the hard compound tyres as well here. But the safety car, I don't think coming out at the right time for Lewis Riley, unfortunately, then for the Ferrari. Then Styles then has the culprit of the safety car has got himself into the pit lane now to sort himself out and get himself onto a new set of medium compound tyres and a new set of boots. Then Vintage then will filter out the pit lane now as well. Then the safety car has caught the race leaders already, so waiting now for the Red Bulls then to just catch up to the safety car queue, and we can get ourselves cracking here. So the top 4 have yet to pit then in this race. They're all on the hard compound tyres, then started the race on the hard compound tyres. Only 12 laps completed then so far then in this Grand Prix before the first safety car of the evening as well. But hopefully we can get ourselves through the rest of it without any more shenanigans then. But I'm not quite sure that's going to be the case then, especially in Sector 3. And that turn 3, it seems, for Styles then is causing a few issues as well then. So that is where we've got the safety car pulled out then as well. Heading into the hotel section now, we're going, I think we're going to be waiting another couple of laps or so then before we can get ourselves re-racing here in Abu Dhabi then. And here we go then, so far so good then. Safety car then coming out on the end of lap 11, then on to lap 12, then of course with that damage then for Styles then into turn 3, then I think he's sorted out the front wing now, and it looks like he's sorted out the front wing at least then, as we got more pit stop action, have we? No, it's just Farf and Mumford overtaking each other then, as not quite sure what is happening there as well. Then Farf seems to be having some issues, let's just say that, with his internet as well. Then maybe it's Farf who's causing the problems then, and not Lewis Riley then. I have to say it seemed to be every time that the Ferrari or the Alpine were in action, they seemed to be ghosting around certain people, and that was the problem there. But nonetheless, we can crack on now. I think Vintage then is just about to get himself onto the 13th lap, and same for Styles as well then, and we can hopefully crack on then for the next stint of this Grand Prix. Of course, the strategies have been thrown in the air slightly, not too much for the top 4, I don't think, but for the majority of the rest of the field, then they have had to switch up the strategy as well then, and let's see how it's going to play out then in this next phase of the Grand Prix. So far so good then. It's looking pretty good then for Young Lux then, who's got himself up into P1 then. He was battling away with our medium runners as we get ourselves, we got more problems as well then. Lucas, Percy and Brooksy then also switching places here, and they're not sure they've got themselves sorted either then. Maybe there's more problems then for those two, and Brooksy I think has got himself, was he P7 before that? I'm not quite sure. Nonetheless then, the Red Bulls have caught up to the back of the queue now, so hopefully we can maybe able to get ourselves re-racing here tonight. The end of lap 13 then on to lap 14, then we'll see very momentarily that if the safety car is coming in, Brooksy and Percy then still having a few issues then trying to get themselves into the right position there, but Young Lux then is going to lead off the restart of this Grand Prix. Then the safety car coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 13 then, so a very quick safety car indeed. Back into the pits goes Bert Mylander then. We don't want to see him any more than in this race, and we can crack on then. So Young Lux now starts off the restart, will be the pace setter then for the restart, I should say, then before that safety car gets into the pit lane, and then once it is in the pit lane he can go whenever he fancies, but he needs to go before the start finish line really, otherwise he might get overtaken then if he does cruise on to the next lap. But there is Bert Mylander then coming into the pit lane, then hopefully he doesn't get a penalty then for crossing the pit lane entry line then in this in the next corner or two. But Young Lux then is taking a bit of a quick restart then from Young Lux then, because he's not given Bert Mylander much time to get himself into the box then, but he's going now, and away we go then on the restart then. Gillen then getting a bit out of shape then onto the final corner, then Farf then up into P3, is into the podium places then, but of course the top 4 yet to pit then. Mumford then included in that as well, then he's now going to be under pressure from Gorder, who's the net race leader then as it stands. Kiki then in P6 then, currently net P2, then Brooksy net P3, Lucas Percy, sorry, net P8 then. We going to Percy then. He didn't serve his penalty then, did he? Not sure how that's happened then. I'm not sure how he managed to pit without serving a penalty, to be fair as well then. So unless he picked up a penalty then as well, then going into the pit lane there. But yes, that is very odd stuff indeed then. Young Lux then trying to defend the race leader from Ginner then in the Mercedes and heading into the first chicane, and there is a Racing Bull side by side with Gorder then as well into turn 8 and 9 then, or not 8 and 9, sorry, 7 and 8 then, who say goodness me then. And Racing Bull then, and the Racing Bull of Kiki has got himself over to P5 then, passing Gordo on the hard compound tyres. Of course these two are the net race leaders with the top 4 yet to pit then. Ginner has taken the lead then around the outside then into sector 3 then. Can he hold the move, though, is the question. Then Gina trying to hold this past the kick salver of Young Lights then, but not quite. Then Young Lights holds on to P1 for the time being, but these two battling away. There's going to hold up the pack behind them as well. Then that could open the door then for those on the fresher tyres to try and squeeze themselves through quicker than they expected. And we'll wait and see then. But on to lap 14, then we filter through sector 3 once again then. And so far so good on the restart, it looks like. But everyone now once again then all bunched up again then in this field. And after the safety car has peeled back into the pit lane at the end of lap 13, now on to lap 15 we go. Then DRS now re-enabled as we go through into the there's Lucas Percy. Where is he? He's past Brooksy, then he's up at P7 now. Good stuff indeed then. Yes, I'm not quite sure if Lucas Percy took a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but of course served his 10-second penalty for corner cutting then in the first chicane. Sorry, in the chicane, sorry, in sector 2. But I'm not quite sure what has gone on then to be fair for Percy then. I didn't see any penalty pop up, I don't think, but I can't remember that far back. It's already been erased from my memory, to be fair. It's a long time ago now. Chappers then up into P11 passing Lewis Riley. Then of course Lewis has done two laps extra on his hard compound tyres, having pit before the safety car came out then. And Ginner then is passed into a P1, then passing Young Lights then into the chicane. Then Farf then is waiting. Farf is ghosting again then. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening then. There's all sorts of issues then, because Gordo's off the circuit then at the chicane. What's happened to Gordo? Gordo's dropping down the field there as well. Then goodness me, there's some serious issues then on the final lap then for Gordo. And not the final lap, sorry, in the final race for Gordo, I should say. Then Brooksy has dropped down to P11, then being passed by Mushroom as he round the outside goes the Mushroom then into the into sector 3. He can't quite make the move there, unfortunately, then. But not quite sure what happened there. Ekbaz and Lewis Riley then battling away. Then Ekbaz and Lewis Riley then are in a fight then for P12 then as it stands there. But Ekbaz on the medium compound tyres has got the inside then and has got himself through and passing the Ferrari then. Good stuff indeed. Then Kamara Racing next to try his luck then as well, but unfortunately not through that corner. I don't think there. Not an opportune move then for yourself there. Then Gordo then dropping down the field then has I think he's got himself sorted. He's not got any wing damage in this Gordo, so he's just had a spin somewhere or had a helping hand then into a spin. Goodness me, then into the first turn then almost into the back of Ginger Age there as well. Then my God, but yes, there we are then. Right then, Farf then has, I think Gordo was racing for the lead, wasn't he? No, he was racing with Kiki, wasn't he, as well? Ginger Age picked up a penalty then as well. Lucas Percy then has got himself P4, then passing Mumford. Then Mumford then going to squirrely out of the hairpin then, and of course is on the older tyres then compared to Lucas Percy's on medium compound tyres actually for Percy. So he's going to be on much better tyres at this stage. Then Farf takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but we're not actually sure where Farf is, to be honest. Ginner then looking to go down the inside then as well. Then as I think maybe it was Ginner that was involved, because Ginner was leading the Grand Prix. Maybe he got past then by a few drivers in Gordo. Then it was involved as well. Then Lewis Riley's had another issue at the same place as Gordo on the previous lap then. So it seems like a few drivers then having a few problems, it seems, at that point of the circuit then as well. Then Ginner has got himself past Farf then, has he? Mumford and Kiki back away in the background as well, heading into sector 3. Then here comes the kick sour. Then if Lights then Farf and Ginner then filtering through then into the hotel section as well. Then Farf has got the inside, well, not the outside, sorry, but it's turned to the inside, but it's not quite then, as Lucas Percy has got himself ghosting through Farf as well here. So I think it's definitely an issue for Farf then, because it seems like he is the one who's ghosting then every time someone goes near him. But I'm not sure how that's sorted or not. But yeah, odd stuff indeed. Then in Abu Dhabi, then for the final race of the 100% season, we wouldn't have it any other way, would we? Because that's typical stuff indeed. For all of us, but now filtering through then onto lap 17. Then, like I said, everybody has stayed within the remit then as well. Then I think Lewis Riley then unfortunately has dropped down to the back of the field. Then he seems to be having some sort of technical difficulties here tonight, as does Farf, to be fair. But there we go, he's ghosting again. Then, so there we are. Fantastic. Mushroom has passed Brooksy. Then has he yet onto the back straight? Then and here comes Ekbaz as well. Then Ekbaz looking to try and slide his way through here into P11, I should say. Then he's got himself past. Oh dear, what's happened there? Not quite sure what's going on there as well. Someone again. Oh my God! Then there's all sorts of action into the hairpin, into the chicane again. Then, and there's a ghost car of Vest here as well this time. Then Young Lights has been passed by Ginner then, and unfortunately I don't know what is going on here, to be honest. Brooksy has lost out to everybody now, and yeah, it's absolute chaos then, right? Fantastic stuff indeed. I think a few drivers have thought that it's the last race of the season. I'm just going to go for it then, and I think that's caused a few problems. Let's just say that. In this restart of the race, I should say. Brooksy then down to P19 after whatever happened there. Who else has dropped down then? Kamara Race has dropped down as well. Then R2Beat's all right then. Chappers and Kiki I think have dropped down the field. Then Gordo's dropped down the field as well then, but Gordo dropped down the field a few laps ago then. He's now got wing damage then on that right end plate then as well for Gordo, unfortunately for him. Then Equaz up into P8 now as well. Then Mumford then and Vessia I think was involved as well in that, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Young Lights has lost the lead. Then of course these drivers who have yet to pit then are going to be starting to struggle at this point compared to those who have pitted, of course, under that safety car 6 laps ago now. But the difference in tyre wear will be quite paramount indeed. Then Lucas Percy has taken the lead now as we go through onto lap 18, then onto the back straight. Then DRS still available for Far, but now Gina, then Young Lights and Mumford then are going to be hunting him down then into the chicane once again. Then as we head into the echelons of the middle echelons of lap 18, there we go. Then down the inside goes. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but Farber's ghosting again, and Gina's gone through. I don't think Young Lights needs to worry too much because you can just go through Farf now, it looks like. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on there. Kamara Racer is having a few issues as well, and has dropped down behind Brooksy here at this point as well. Then he has dropped down to P20, unfortunately for Kamara Racer. Then that is his race not going his way then at this point of the race, as it stands, I should say. Then, but there we go. Then Ginger Age has passed Reflection then for P13. And yeah, I think it's some sort of issues then with the host, then that is, because yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on there. Then out of the DRS range now is Jinner. Then he's on 17 lap or 18 lap old hard compound tyres compared to 7 lap old medium compound tyres for Lucas Percy. So I think now we're seeing the difference in the tyre wear, especially coming to play then for those who have yet to pit. Then Favre once again is ghosting, and so unfortunately, like I said, is I don't even know if he's actually there in the race, to be honest, because we don't know where he is exactly with his positioning, because the ghost cars are involved as well. Then that wasn't Gordo, I don't think that was Vessia. Then Vessia's got end plate damage. Has Gordo got end plate damage as well? Then? Yes, he has then. So both Aston Martins are racing with damage there as well, as it stands. And goodness me, both of them having a few issues there somewhere on that on the previous couple of laps or so. Then Young Light said has lost that. Sorry, Jinner has lost out to the DRS then of the race leader of Lucas Percy. He's trying to scamper off into the distance. Then Equaz and Mushroom are battling. Oh my goodness me, there's more problems then as Mushroom and Equaz are battling. Goodness me, Mumford is off the circuit at the same spot then as well. Then there seems like a few people having a problem then trying to negotiate a chicane here tonight. Then I'm not saying that's Mumford, I'm saying that's a few others then around Mumford who have caused that. Then Reflection passing Ginger Range, then Serious Mushrooms past Kiki and up into P8 as well. Then Reflection back past the McLaren then into Sector 3. And there we go then. Unfortunately, a few more problems then it seems then for the rest of the field then, as we've had again more problems into the chicane. Then unfortunately, that if you can't get your braking point right into a chicane then and you cause a contact with another car, then you were at fault. Then it's literally the rules of racing, unfortunately. So yeah, that will be looked at after the race. Then I'm sure there'll be plenty of incidents to be looked at after the race then as well, with people then not being able to negotiate the corners without making contact. Gordo into the pit lane. I think you have to serve, not serve a penalty, sorry, but serve a slow stop then to get that front wing sorted and replaced then as well. Then there it is then onto the front wing, new front wing going onto the Aston Martin. Then a new set of medium compound tyres and back underway then for Gordo, then trying to get himself back in this race then on a fresh set of medium compound tyres as well. We'll see what he can do. Here we go then for Young Lights, for Farf then for Vessia, B Rabbit then, and Equaz then. Vessia's got himself past Farf then into P4 and into the chicane once again. Then there's more ghosting going on there as well then, and unfortunately, like I said, I'm not sure if it's the host level then, because Farf is the host as well then, if you didn't know. But I'm not sure if it's if it's Farf's internet or something like that. But it seems like he is ghosting whenever there is somebody nearby him. So interesting stuff indeed. Then I'm not sure if it's the same for the drivers who are actually trying to get themselves past him. But yeah, it seems to be causing a few problems out there. Young Lights has got so on to P3. Back into the podium places then, but of course Jinner and Young Lights have to pit in this Grand Prix. Same for Farf then, same for Mumford is down in P15 unfortunately then, but after that, whatever happened into that chicane, and yeah, not good stuff indeed for Mumford unfortunately then, but hopefully he can get himself onto a new set of tyres soon and soldier on then in this race. Potentially going medium from here, I would imagine, is definitely doable, and especially if you can do 21 laps then on the hard compound tyres. Lewis Riley set the fastest out of the race then, trying to get himself back in the way then. Good stuff from Lewis Riley then, soldier on in this race, and despite the issues he had with the connection then in the first stint then, or the first few laps then before the safety car, that is. But yeah, unfortunately the race has kind of been tampered with, let's just say that, with whatever's been going on into the chicanes. It seems that the Serious Mushrooms going for a lunge then on Equaz, then up into P7 then, but Equaz fighting back then down the straight then with some DRS then and some straight line speed, I think, for the Williams car, as well, 3 wide almost then into the chicane then. I thought that was going to be dodgy stuff indeed, and usually when these two are about, then there's dodgy stuff indeed then, and Father's lost out to Vessi then, once again ghosting as well then. B-Rabbit then looking to get himself interested in that P5 position, heading onto the back straight then, as we got a nice view from Equaz's point of view. There's contact further ahead then with an Aston Martin and a kick Sauber, I think. Equaz has been, sorry, Young Lights has passed then, B-Rabbit's passed up in P5. Young Lights and Jinner then are battling away side by side here into the hotel section. There's yellow flags further down the order. Kiki's had an issue, then Kiki's had a spin then, I think, then he's got himself back underway quickly enough though, but he's down to P17 then on his hard compound tyres, unfortunately for him. Mumford then is lost out to Lewis Riley then, who is also on the fresher set of tyres compared to the Haas driver then, out in front, 3 seconds the gap almost by Lucas Preston, his teammate, and scampering off in the distance, and Jinner's got a 3-second back then, unfortunately for Jinner then, as he's crossed into the onto lap 22 there. Where is Jinner? There he is. He's on the final corner. I think that was for. Oh, have we got rain? I think we might have some rain. I thought I saw a little flash of rain then, but maybe it was some sparks or something. But I thought we had some rain on the horizon. Then we were told we were going to have some rain in the race. It doesn't look like it's coming just yet then, as once again Equaz and Mushroom are battling away side by side through the hairpin. Gordo set the fastest down the race then, and Lewis Riley picked up a 3-second back as well, then trying to get himself back through. And once again then Equaz, and we've got more yellow flags then. This time it's Kiki. Kiki's had another issue then, out of the hairpin. It looks like Vintage and Kamara Racer are switching places then. Hungry Stars and Brooks here switching places as well then into, no we don't, there's R2P and Ginger Rage then battling away then through the chicane. My goodness me. It's actually all over the show, to be fair, as we go once again then, heading through. Then you can see the shot then, that was the shot from Reflection, I think it was. We saw the shot from Jinner then, and Vessia battling into the hairpin, into the sector 3, sorry, into the sector 3 hairpin, I should say, from there as well. Then that's fantastic stuff indeed then, but it's teetering on the edge, let's just say that then at this point of the race then, unfortunately, and my voice is teetering on the edge as well, to be fair. There is Lucas Percy then flying through the shot very quickly indeed. Then he is out in front by 3.4 seconds then, and Jinner then coming through then onto lap 23 then very shortly as well. Then he is 3.5 seconds behind then Vessia P3, Young Lights P4, then penalties now for the top 3 as it stands as well there, but that'll of course will be sorted out then after the race then, or after the checkered flag that is, but we'll have to wait and see then what's going to happen there. As we've got problems from Mushroom, then Mushroom's had an issue then at the, where is that? Not quite sure. Turn 1, I think it is. Mushroom's had an issue, then Ginger Rage has been passed by R2B, then R2B up into the top 10. There's more problems. I think Lewis Riley then is definitely lagging there as well then. More problems down the field. Then Styles is off the circuit again then, and luckily this time he's got himself back on there without any damage. Then Brooksy and R2B, then goodness me, Ginger Rage has gone through then up into P10 now as well. Goodness me, what is happening here in Abu Dhabi then, as we go on to the back straight. And Brooks is making it 3 wide there into the chicane, and Ginger Rage is on the outside there, and oh goodness me, that's a very tight corner then. Oh my goodness me, then that is dodgy stuff indeed. And Mushroom has gone through. Mushroom is 3 wide then, he's pinballing all over the place then, and there's a Haas there, a Mumford involved too, and my god then, yeah. Oh goodness me, Kamara Racer almost into the back of the McLaren of Ginger Rage here as well then. I'm not quite sure if they've had their Christmas lunch just yet then for these drivers. Got into the back, there's Mumford then, and I'm not quite sure if they've had their Christmas dinner like the F1 drivers do then in Abu Dhabi, but yeah, whatever's happened at the Christmas lunch or Christmas dinner, whatever it is, the feeling's not mutual. Let's just put it that way. Then they have been going at it hammer and tongs in this race, and I don't think they've realised they're not at halfway just yet either even. So they've got to get themselves past the checkered flag then to be able to finish this Grand Prix. And yes, the battles have been heated, let's just say, at this point of the race so far. It's been absolutely epic stuff indeed to watch them, but yeah, heart-in-mouth stuff indeed, and especially for the drivers out there as well. I think there's a few drivers that are probably a bit worried about what's happening there as well. Then Hungry Styles is off the circuit again then, and again has got wing damage this time at the same point of the circuit then for Hungry Styles then. Unfortunately for Red Bull then, he might as well just get that front wing sorted then, and hope that he can go for the fastest lap at the end of the Grand Prix at this point in the race, unfortunately, unless there's any safety cars that come out once again then that are going to help him in this next half of the race then as well. Kamara Racer has passed Ginger Rage then for P15. Now we've got Jinner then. Jinner's had an issue. Then where is he? that's on the straight then, as you know. So again, there seems to be some sort of problems out there as well then for other drivers then who are having difficulties then trying to negotiate certain parts of the circuit. He's got a 10-second penalty then for corner cutting as well then just Jenner, and he needs to go on the other part of the circuit then, not that side. And there we go then. He's back on then, and I think might have some problems then with the car. Then seems to be handling a bit difficultly. It would seem, but of course he's on old tyres and maybe he's got a puncture even. I'm not quite sure. Kamar Racers have got a 3-second penalty then into the pits. I think comes the Mercedes driver then. Yes, he is in the pit lane. So there we are then into the box then for Jenner. Then what's it going to go? What's it going to be next? He's retired in the pit lane. Styles can't slow the car down then, so he is going to be done and dusted in this. Well, he's just stopped in the pit lane now as Styles, so I think that's him. Not quite sure what's happening to Styles, to be fair. Brilliant stuff indeed. Right then, B Rabbit then up into P3 then. It looks like we haven't even got to halfway distance, and we've already got people with overheating problems. Let's just say that. But there we are then. B Rabbit up into P2, then up into passing. Sorry, the Aston Martin of Vess here then into the chicane, and back underway. Then Ginger Age is back past Mumford as well here, into P14, then onto the back straight. There's quite a bit of a queue then forming from all the way from B Rabbit then down to Kiki then in P17, I think that is. They're all going through then into this part of the circuit. Then sector 3 then underway. Then Gordon then is reeling them in as well. Then Gordon with the baton. Let's go back and what's going on ahead of him. And there we go. So got damage from car. With car Vess here. Cut in front and was locked inside lane and last second and had to avoid. Unfortunately for Jenner then, so he was out of the race then, and unfortunately we won't be able to review that incident as well then after the pit and quit. So we'll have to, well, it's fair enough for me. I'm going to have a lot of penalties to look at after this race anyway, so I can save myself some time there. Yeah, unfortunately Jenner then on the final race of the season then not going his way tonight then, so he is out of the race on lap 24, 25 I think it was. Yeah, a big shame then indeed then. First retirement of the Grand Prix then as well then, as we got Vess here then. Vess here has got no wing there as well then, so, well, part of the wing missing at least, so that was probably not helpful as well. Then Lewis Riley's been passed by Mushroom, then Mushroom again wants his favourite hairpin is passing another driver, then up into P10 now is Mushroom. Hungry Styles has got a 3-second penalty then going through into the hotel complex. Unfortunately that very slow pit entry then has cost him a few more seconds into the rest of the field. Reflection and Ekbars then are battling away then through into the chicane once again then, and Chappers is there as well. Then Lewis Riley has lost out once again then to Ginger Rage. Goodness me, what is going on there? And it's got in the back of Kamara Racer. Ginger Rage very, very flighty indeed then out of the chicane, and has lost the place then to the what's going on there. It seems to be some sort of yeah, there's definitely some sort of internet issues out there for Lewis Riley, I think then. He has been passed by Ginger Rage and P13 now for the McLaren driver. Then good stuff indeed. Then Hungry Styles is back in the pit lane. I'm not sure if they changed the front wing on that previous stop or not then, I mean, they would have done because it was quite substantially damaged, wasn't it? But he's going to come out of the pit lane, I think, just about still on the lead lap then, if he can get a move on then. But no, once again, then he is stuck in the pit lane. I'm sure he seems to be trying to apply the throttle then, but he is letting everyone go through there. So unfortunately for Styles then, having more technical difficulties then for the Red Bull driver then, he's having still problems then getting himself out of the pit lane as well here. So unfortunately, I think that's Styles' race then, as well as Ginner's then not going to plan then, and I think already over and done with then before we get to the halfway point of this Grand Prix as well, which is a shame. But yeah, fair play indeed then. But yeah, unfortunately things happen in racing, and that is the case of Formula 1 Grand Prix racing as well then. Right then, we've got still the drivers then who are trying to do a one-stop, I think, here, the likes of Young Rights Favre and Mumford potentially. I think we've had to stop them for the Gina Ring there, so unfortunately Gina then, who was out of the race when he came into the pit lane. And Kiki's got himself past Vintage then into the chicane, then up into P16 now, and trying to recover then in this Grand Prix. Then Favre and Reflection are battling away, then Reflection up into P5 now, passing Favre, and into sector 3 goes in P5 then for Reflection. Then can he hold on then to the top 4 as it stands? Then yes, he can. well, actually, the 3 ahead of him, I should say, because Lucas Percy. Actually, Lucas Percy's gap is being brought back down, reeled back in, then I should say, then by B Rabbit. Then it was over 3.5 seconds previously. We weren't monitoring it too much, unfortunately. But B Rabbit then has got it down to 2, or just over 2 seconds at this point. As I think the hard compound tyres then are starting to phase in very nicely indeed compared to the medium tyres then for Lucas Percy. Brooksy's got a 3-second penalty then entering the pit lane. Again, like I said, those penalties, those warnings picked up at the pit entry then can be reviewed after the race as well. Water then will try and get himself back through as well, then as will Vintage, but Brooksy then opting for hard compound tyres now for the next stint in this race. Then for the Ferrari, then we have got 30 laps to go. Then I suppose so maybe that could be doable. Well, actually, we'll have to, we'll see if it's doable or not. Then Young Lights then has done 27 laps, then 27 for Favre as well, then, and for Mumford. Yellow flags again then for the problem. Then it's Styles again then out of turn 3. Once again having another issue. Then of course he's been lapped by the whole field now, unfortunately. So unless he can get himself back on the lead lap somehow, I would imagine that would be everybody ahead pitting then, and him getting himself back on with a back into the lead lap with a safety car or something like that. But unfortunately not the case, I don't think. And Styles is still having issues as well. Once again he's having problems then on a straight. Then he's got full acceleration, then full revs as well then. So it seems like it's not a throttle pedal issue. But whatever is the issue then for Styles, then he is not having a great time out there, unfortunately. Then so there we are. But so long as it doesn't cause any safety cars again, that's all right. Yes, we've got 1.8 seconds to gap now to the race leader. Then B Rabbit on the hard compound tyres definitely reeling in the race leader of Lucas Percy at this stage. 17 lap hold of medium compound tyres then for Percy. Then at this point of the race as well, then of course having pitted under the safety car, then potentially could he try and eke the stint out then to do medium then to the end of the Grand Prix. Then Mumford is into the pit lane. Mumford calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres. So we're speculating the hard compound tyres could do about 30 laps then, potentially with the lower fuel load throughout the race. Then of course 29 laps or 28 laps now completed. Brooksy might be able to get himself on those hard compound tyres to the end of the race there from this point on. Do 30 laps or so then on those hard compound tyres then and get to the end. Mumford opting for the medium compound tyres coming out of the pit lane now then into P18. Reflection has passed Lights then up into P4 then for Reflection. Then Chappers and Equaz are battling into the chicane once again as well then. P7 now for the Haas. Good stuff indeed. Reflection now up into P4 has passed Young Lights, and of course Young Lights on the much older hard compound tyres. Well, only actually 11 lap or 12 lap old, whichever way you want to call it, then 11 or 12 lap older tyres that is. Chappers has passed Favre then into sector 3, then round the outside then of the Alpine, I should say. And once again, Favre ghosting through the car in front of him. So that's brilliant stuff indeed then. But Chappers then is up into P6 now, into the hotel section. Then he's got the move done then up into P6, then onto, well, I think that's where he started at this point of the race. Yes, no, he's not. He's down 2 still. He started P4, so he's still got a few more places to gain, but he's still powering through then. Can he get himself back into the DRS range in the race lead? Then Lucas Percy is into the pit lane. Ginger Rage picked up a penalty as well. Then Ginger Rage, unfortunately, then into the hotel section. Favre is also in the pits as well. Running today then on the hard compound tyres. Then so potentially we are seeing a one stop then for Favre potentially then, but maybe, or this will definitely be a 2 stop then. He's on 11 lap old hard compound tyres then is Lucas Percy. Then goodness me, I'm not sure that is. Did he get held in the pits as well there? I'm not quite sure. Potentially, but we'll have to wait and see then. 28 laps to go then for Lucas Percy then on these hard compound tyres. Brooks is at the fastest lap of the race then, and coming out of the pit lane now behind, ahead of Favre. Is he just about? And yes, he is. The medium compound tyres for the Alpine as we go into a lap 30. Then Vessi has taken the lead from B Rabbit then, I think. Looks like he has then. Yes, into the chicane we go then. B Rabbit then jumping over that curb then as well. That's going to unsettle the car then and open the door potentially for Reflection to stick his nose in somewhere as well. Then here comes Reflection in the Mercedes then, looking to go around the outside then of the Williams into sector 3, and can he make the move stick is the question. Then B Rabbit holds on for the time being as it stands. Good stuff indeed. And that is that then. So we go through then into sector 3 then for the 30th time then. We've actually been breezing through this race to be fair, even with the safety car already at lap 12 then, heading under the hotel complex then into the last few knockings then of lap 30 then. And will we see some more pit stop action then for Young Lights potentially then? Of course Young Lights yet to pit then in this race is staying out then for the time being. Then Vintage has picked up a 3-second penalty then as well then into the hotel section, unfortunately for Vintage then, but he's soldiering on out then, doing a good job then in the Red Bull car. Young Lights then is under pressure now from Chapper Chappers then, of course, Young Lights is on much, much older tyres compared to the rest of the field now. He is the only one to not pit then at this stage in the race, then the only one who has not made a scheduled or unscheduled stop at all then in this Grand Prix for Young Lights at this point in P4 then. But here comes Chappers then on charge, and Brooksy has set the fastest lap of the race then once again. Then Brooksy's on a charge as well indeed, and he's got himself past Farf then. No, he's not got himself past Farf then. He's got himself the pressure then of Farf. And of course, Farf is on the fresh medium compound tyres, just having pitted a lap ago. So we're looking to get himself past the Ferrari as quickly as possible, I'm sure. Gordon then is right behind Percy. Then, of course, Percy has pitted only a lap or two ago then, but he's put on old hard compound tyres. And once again, we've got more problems here at the chicane. And Serious Mushroom and R2 then Equaz. I know it's Kamara Racer then has been involved as well. Lewis Riley's gone through then into P10 then, my goodness me. And I don't think there's a few people then who are having a few problems then trying to negotiate the chicane, it seems here. And it definitely seems to be the problem part of the circuit, doesn't it? B-Rabbit back up into the race lead, then Ginger Angel has got himself back past Lewis Riley then, but Lewis Riley then soldering back through then into into sector 3. And Kiki sticking his nose in there as well then, passing Ginger Age. Then he's in a bit of a racing ball sandwich then is Ginger Age then at this point. But yeah, my God, then I'm not quite sure if anybody had any driver's awareness courses this week to try and get themselves through that chicane here tonight, safely that is. But yeah, we are then. So yes, another issue at the chicane once again then for Kamara Racer, I think it was there. But to be fair, if they are all pitting again then in this race, then he is not in a bad position as it stands. Because they're all still within the train then for the race leaders. Farther set the fastest lap of the race then. He is trying to cruise past Brooksy then up into P16, sorry, and now is on fresher tyres then. Can he get himself into the fight with Gordo and Lucas Percy as well in the next few laps or so? Then we'll find out as we get ourselves into lap 32. Oh dear, out on top of the order. Then Vessio's taking the lead once again then, as R2B and Equaz are battling away there. Of course, former title rivals as well then, heading into the chicane. And Lewis Riley then trying to get himself into a battle with Kiki then. Young Lights has lost out to Chappers and to Mushroom. Mushroom's up into P4 then, passing both of them I think, as we go onto the back straight here then into sector 3 then on lap 32 then. And now that is P4 then for Mushroom, then Reflection up into P3 as well then on the back of this fight as well. Then Chappers has got a 10-second penalty for gaining a place and corner cutting there, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Chappers, and maybe it was with Young Lights there as well then, but he's got himself a 10-second penalty then for whatever happened there anyway. R2B then on the back of Young Lights as well here then. Young Lights I think might be trying to think about getting himself into the pits very soon for his, yes he is into the pit lane now as well then, and has got himself a penalty then for corner cutting then on that pit entry, which again we were warned about, but nobody heeds the warning. So there we go. But there we are then. Unfortunately, that is the case then at Abu Dhabi pit entry then. But we did make everyone aware of it. Well, I tried to anyway, at least. But there we go then. Into the pits comes the Young Lights then. Medium compound tyres then for the kick salver then, and away he goes. Right then, here comes B-Rabbit then trying to charge for the race lead then. Lap 33 then of 58, 25 laps remaining at the end of this one. There's still quite a long way to go in this Grand Prix, but B-Rabbit takes the lead of the Grand Prix once again then into the first chicane. And this is the question, can we hold on to it is the problem, because it seems like there's all sorts of shenanigans going through this part of the circuit. But I think they managed to do it this time. Brilliant stuff indeed, which is good stuff. Maybe they're learning. Maybe the AI is advancing then as far as past Lucas Percy into that same chicane then, and up into P13 then on the charge then on the fresh medium compound tyres. Percy though, unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if that's a glitch then, or if that is yeah, if that's something else going on there, because he's onto slightly old hard compound tyres as well then. Ginger Age and Lewis Riley then are battling through the hotel section there. That is not an overtaking place, Ginger Age, and I think we've got a warning. Yeah, Lewis Riley is definitely having some sort of struggles out there with his connection. He's into the pit lane now, I think, there as well. And again, we've got a penalty in for the corner cutting on the pit entry as well there. Kiki is past Equaz there into P7 now. Equaz struggling, Kiki's struggling as well then to try and keep it on the track then. But Equaz struggling on the old medium compound tyres then. Lewis Riley then is into the pit lane then for a new set of medium compound tyres, and back underway then he's going to be dropping down the order then behind Young Lights, I think then down to P18 I should say, but back underway quickly enough then for the Ferrari driver then. Good stuff indeed. Heading through now into lap 34 then of 58, and Brooksy then and Gordo switching places as well. Then Brooksy is on fresher tyres, then Gordo, oh dear, both of them struggling out of the hairpin it looks like then, so that's not going to be good news for either of them. Ginger Rage, it's more problems at the chicane then again, and 10-second penalty for Kamara Racer with his teammate as well of all people. Kiki and Kamara Racer have had an incident there as well. Then Kamara Racer has come off worse, I think then, and my goodness me then, what is happening then? Farfus up into P11 passing Vintage, and Kiki Vessia has left the session now, and Vessia has lagged out of the session, so I think there's definitely some sort of connection problems all over the place here as well then. But Vessia then is dropping down the field and hopefully gets himself back into the session in the Aston Martin. Then I'm not quite sure if his ghost car is going to hit itself as well for that wing damage, but it is staying out, I think, at least. We've got pit stops then, I think, for Equaz. Equaz calling it a day then on the medium compound tyres. Kiki is staying out as well then. I think Kamara Racer will have to pit then. Oh God, that was a day late and $1 short from Kamara Racer as well then. I'm not quite sure what is going on there. He stayed out. I'm not quite sure why he stayed out there, but that was very odd stuff indeed. Equaz dropping down the field, then we've got a wing change there as Equaz. That is why he's taking so long in the pit lane. He's onto a set of hard compound tyres, and I think he was involved in that shenanigans there as Ginger Rage is up into P6 now. But I think he was involved in that shenanigans there as well then with the racing balls then into the chicane. And my God, I'm not sure what is going on then with these drivers tonight. Then they seem to be on a last race of the season syndrome or some sort of thing. But there we go then. Brooksy and Vintage, and I think Vessia has got himself back in the car, or back in the session at least. Then Mumford has passed Kamara Racer, then Kamara Racer is dropping down the field after the issues then with his front wing. Then Lucas Percy's passed Vintage here as well then. More yellow flags. This time it's Kamara Racer again, then he's having more problems as well then out there in the racing ball. Then Gordo's passed Vintage then for P12 I should say, then he's on 15 lap of medium compound tyres as we head into sector 3 on lap 35. Oh dear, and more problems as well then. No, that's just decent, I think. What's going on here? I'm not quite sure what's going on here, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure that's the order. But I'm not sure if the screen on the left is matching the screen on the screen. To be honest, I'm just going to have to blab my way through it then as into the pits. This time comes Kamara Racing. He's got another 3-second button then for his troubles. And into the box, he's got a 10-second button for speed in the pit lane as well here for Kamara Racing then, which is a bit of a shame as well. He's pitting quit as well then. Good stuff indeed. Right then, as we head into this next phase of the race, as we go into the hairpin, Mumford and Vintage. Lucas Percy, not Lucas Percy, sorry, Young Lights as well then involved as we go through. Then there's Kamara Racer's car then stranded in the pit lane. Hungry Styles will cross into lap 35 I think for him actually, because he's on a lap down already. But yes, brilliant stuff indeed then. I'm waiting for some more action to be fair, and I think it's going to be happening very soon. Nonetheless, Arterbeat and Mushroom then passing each other. Is the Alpine then into P4 then. I think Vessia has got himself back in the car and passing Ginger Rage then for P6. Young Lights and Gordo then as well in a better battle then into sector 3. Then of course Young Lights on much fresher medium compound tyres is passing the Aston Martin there as well. Right then into lap 37 then very shortly. Then we're cruising into the last stint of the race, I think, or last part of the race I should say. We've got 37 laps then completed as we go into lap 37 now as well. Then so we're going to have, what is that, 21 laps or so at the end of this one. Then this is where I think we might start to see some of the hard runners then think about another pit stop then for more medium compound tyres then towards the end of this Grand Prix. Then Lewis Riley sets the fastest lap of race and tries to get himself past Vintage, and he has done. Oh dear, has he? Not quite then. It's quite a difficult one then, that looks like, at turn 1. Bit of an odd place to go for an overtake then, but of course he's on fresher tyres at this point as well then, so maybe thought that he had the overspeed then into that part of the circuit. Then Styles is just cruising around in AI then as well. Then Young Lights has passed Lucas Percy for P11, and up into chasing down the top 10 now as well, and 3 seconds behind the top 10 as it stands is Young Lights as well. Mumford has passed Gorder then for P13. Of course, Gorder is probably thinking about a pit stop very soon. Will have quite a distance to go then in this race then to get himself into the pit lane very soon as well, then to try and get himself to the end of the Grand Prix. Round the outside goes Ginger Eggs, then into Sector 3, then passing Vessi, then P6 now for the McLaren. Good stuff indeed then. Can he chase down the top 5 then, who are over 3.5? Well, goodness me, that's a Reflection having an issue, and Reflection, oh dear, Reflection's having a big issue then, and he is going to be dropping down the field quite substantially there as well then, as he tries to get himself back underway. And oh god, then that is Young Lights trying to go around the outside there as well. Reflections all over the place here, and my goodness me then, Reflection, what is going on then for the Mercedes driver then? It's pandemonium then for Mercedes, it seems then, as one driver out of the race then, and one driver having the biggest of issues, let's just say that, in the hotel complex, and unfortunately not doing a Latifi thankfully, but yeah, unfortunately for Reflection then, I'm not sure what has happened there in the Mercedes cockpit then to have that, to warrant that sort of issue then, but unfortunately it has compromised his race then as well at this stage. Potentially he might be one of the first runners to switch onto the medium compound tyres, as Lewis Riley's passed Border in the background. Out in front, Rabbit has passed Chappers then for P1, sorry, I should say, then on track. My goodness me then, I'm getting ahead of myself then, as we've got 20 laps still to go in this Grand Prix, and so far it has been absolute action, let's just say that, as we go through then into Sector 3 then, and Chappers then going down the inside then into Sector 3, has got back the race lead, then Vessia back past Ginger Age then into Sector 3 as well, then up into P5, then splitting the McLaren pair as it stands then for the Aston Martin driver then. Good stuff indeed. Oh my. Right then, Mumford and Percy then as well, then trying to battle away. Then Mumford, of course, is on, well, not really, Mumford, sorry, yes, he is on younger tyres. Then there's vintage, there's a yellow flag somewhere. It's the same point here. What is it? Kiki's had the issue at the same point. Oh my god, I thought he was going to, Percy was going to just turn in on him then as well. Then ghosted just in time then. But Kiki's had an issue, same place as Reflection, and now these two are joined on track as well. Then, oh my god, there's contact there as well. Then, and now Brooks is loose right, so it's gone through. Kiki's dropped down behind Reflection as well here then. Gordo's gone through then into P14, and Kiki's having a few issues out there as well. Then Farfar's past Ginger Rage, I think there's somewhere for P6 here. Brooksy, sorry, is in the fight as well, then into the hairpin. They're almost in the back of the McLaren there as well. Then Favre then is all over the back of Vesser. Then they're 3.5 seconds away then from the top 4 as it stands then, as Chappers has been passed by B Rabbit once again then into the middle part of the chicane then. Sector 2 chicane, sorry, I can't get my words out tonight then, because of course my voice is already dying, to be fair. Favre then P5 at this race then up into the top 5 now as it stands then on the medium compound tyres. Vesser then down to P6, then can he fight back then in towards Sector 3? Then there's a Ferrari and a McLaren then in a fight as well here, heading into Sector 3, and oh dear, down the inside goes Brooksy, then that's ambitious indeed then, but he's got himself through, I think, just about. He's on fresher, harder compound tyres, trying to get to the end of this Grand Prix, end of this race I should say, then in the Ferrari, I believe. But there we are then, as we've got, like I said, more battling going on then. I think the rush of blood to the head is the phrase in football, but I think it's definitely happening here in F1 tonight as well then. But that is what seems to be going on out there on track then tonight there, unfortunately. But so far so good then for the top of the order then. They are cruising off into the distance now, and they are looking very good indeed. Of course, they might have to make some more stops as well. Where would that put them out then? It would probably put them behind Kiki as it stands in at this point of the race. But yes, that is just the, of course, there might be some more stops still to come then in this Grand Prix, with 18 laps remaining here in Abu Dhabi tonight then. Onto the straight, onto the back straight once again then. DRS once again open for the Haas of Chappers. Can he line up a move then for the race lead? Then he's lost out to R2B then into the chicane. Then R2B going for a charge then into P1 then, is he? No, not quite then. R2B then, oh there, and there's a, where is he? There he is, P2. And he had got himself past Chappers now, then into onto the back straight, onto the second straight I should say then. Now can he get himself past B Rabbit then for the lead of this Grand Prix? Then yes he can, and he's up into P1 then into Sector 3 then. Very good stuff indeed. Then Far from Brooksy are battling away then side by side then as well. Then Brooksy on the hard compound tyres, but of course I think might have the extra grip then at this stage of the stint then as well, then compared to Far's 10 lap old medium compound tyres as well. Ginger Age and Vessia then down to P8 and 7 respectively then as well, but of course might have to think about another stop very soon as well. We will wait and see. But they have done 28 laps, or 29 laps now very shortly on their hard compound tyres. Then Beat starts off lap 41 then of 58, then 17 laps remaining in this Grand Prix here tonight. Then that could be a very nice medium run stint, I should say. Gordon then has done 21 laps now on his medium compound tyres, maybe thinking about another stop run very soon as well. We'll have to wait and see then. Out in front, then the gap half a second, then as there's quite minimal gap, I should say, sorry, in between the top four. 1.9 seconds. The gap coming down though to Brooksy. Then Brooksy is on a charge here. Young Lights has passed Ginger Age as well. Then Young Lights on fresher medium compound tyres up into P8 now. Lucas Percy and Lewis Riley then battling away then into the hairpin, and Lewis Riley up into P11 here. And now onto the back of Mumford is his next target. Then Lights has passed Vessia then into P7. Now on a charge, his Lights on his fresh medium compound tyres. Lewis Riley then trying to go down the inside of Mumford. Right on board with Percy then, see what's going to go on here, but Lewis Riley then is looking to get himself through then, has got the DRS then as well as Lucas Percy. Reflection is involved here as well. Oh god, then Reflection trying to get himself through on both of them then into sector 3, not quite. And Reflection then, oh dear, as Mumford I think has got himself back down the inside there on Reflection as well then. So Reflection then looking to make a move on 2, then has not made a move on either, unfortunately, into sector 3 then at that point of the lap as well. Then Equaz has passed Vintage, and Lewis Riley's picked up a penalty then going into the hotel section as well. And penalties, like I said, starting to rack up around here as well. We've got pit stop action then for B Rabbit. Then B Rabbit has called it a day on the 30 lap old hard compound tyres. Ginger Age got a 3-second bonus as well then. Not quite sure if he was in the final corner, unfortunately. Ginger Age it was not entering the pit lane then. B Rabbit then calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres. Then medium compounds going on the Williams car. Then away he goes and he will be out, I think, just around or behind his teammate actually. I think he'll be behind his teammate as well. Equaz then comes through then into turn 1. Under the track goes B Rabbit, then out onto into turn 3 really is the exit of the pit lane then, as there he is then into P16, then he's behind Equaz. The top 16 then it just shows as Vintage has pitted as well then, so he's unfortunately out of that order as well then, but the top 16 as it shows then are in very close proximity indeed as well at this point. With more pit stops still to come then, especially for those on the 30 lap old hard compound tyres, and maybe some more stops as well still to unfold. We'll have to wait and see then if there's going to be quite a bit more action then left in this race then for the final race here in 2024 for the 100% League in ALR. But RT Beat then is holding on then to Chappers from P2, then Serious Rush into P3 as it stands as well then. Brooksy then now into P4, then Brooksy is on the freshest tyres, or freshest tyres I should say then at the moment in the top of the order then, especially on the hard compound tyre. You'd imagine that they would be having no problems to get to the end of the Grand Prix from here. Medium compound tyres for Farf and for Young Lights might have an issue then, as we've got another problem then. It's Kiki again off the circuit then, in Reflections also off the circuit. Have they come together again then? Reflection and Kiki then are both having a few issues there as well then, off the circuit then in sector 3 and in the hotel section where we saw Latifi go off as well, but they have got themselves sorted and back underway. I think both Reflection and Kiki are a-okay then, I think, unless there's damage for Kiki. I think Reflection's alright. I'm not quite sure, but yes, hopefully they are both okay. Kiki's lost the end plate then, left end plate missing then from the racing ball then, unfortunately then. What is going on with the Mercedes as well? What will we see? We will see it's all okay as well, it looks like then. Good stuff indeed. Mushroom has lost out to the Ghost of Farf then, and Young Lights trying to go around the outside as well here as we go onto lap 43 then into the chicane then. Of course Mushroom was on much older hard compound tyres, but I would imagine if Mushroom does go into the pit lane very soon, Vessia passing Ginger Age and Chappers passing R2 Beat. Yes, he is going through. He's up into P1 then his Chappers. Brooks has gone off the circuit and I'm not quite sure why he's lining up a move there as well then, and unfortunately Farf then is almost into the back of Brooksy, but luckily, oh my god, then he's ghosting again then. Yellow flags for Reflection again then. What's happened? Reflection's having issues there as well. This week he's having some sort of technical difficulties, let's just say that, for Reflection, unfortunately. Hopefully he can get that sorted. Young's got a 3-second vote then, but what were we saying then? We were saying again, Young Lights and Farf are ghosting between each other. Equaz has passed Kiki then as well, then into Sector 3. Yeah, unfortunately, or into the final corner, I should say, then, goodness me. Of course, Equaz and B-Rabbit then on fresh tyres now and trying to get themselves back in the pack then. I think, like I was saying, I think Mushroom needed to pit on that lap then to maybe try and get an undercut then on the on those who are maybe having to pit again in this race. And the top top 7, top 7, I think. Well, actually, maybe even the top. We could say the top 10 actually here. Top 11, I think, actually in that case. Top 12, I should say. Goodness me, Gordon's soldiering on out there on his old tyres as well then. Yeah, there's the top 12, I think, will have to pit again in this race still. And maybe they're going to try and eke it out then. Is it raining? It is raining. I swear that's rain. Is that rain? I think it's raining. I think it's raining in Abu Dhabi then. It is raining here in Abu Dhabi then. My goodness me. And wow. He wasn't joking then with Ginger Rage. It is definitely raining out there. But I'm not sure. Is it wet enough then? Oh dear. It's looking slippery though for chappers, especially on old tyres as well here. That could be pretty dodgy indeed, to be fair. My goodness me, we're going to have rain in Abu Dhabi again then here in the final race of the season. Then in Abu Dhabi, it has started to rain here in the final race of the season, 100%. We've got what have we got? 13 laps to go. Then we've got pit stop action for Lucas Percy. And will he be going on to intermediate compound tyres, or will he be going to a fresh set of medium compound tyres or something like that? Then we'll wait and see. But we'll come back to him then, I should say then. But this is very strange. It's not raining very heavily out there. It's intermediate's gone for Lucas Percy. Then intermediate tyres then for the Kick Sauber. Heading out of the pit lane now. Reflection then has also got a 3-second button then, unfortunately, for Reflection then, but he is struggling out there, unfortunately, at this point in the race then. But maybe we will see more stops then. Intermediate compound tyres could be going on a few other cars as well very soon then, as Farf and I don't think DRS has been deactivated just yet. Then Young Lights has passed Farf then up into P2, then Chapper's down to P4 at this point in the race then. Intermediate compound tyres going on a couple of cars now. Reflection also onto the intermediates as well here. And my goodness me, then this is going to get very interesting indeed. It's definitely raining, but is it raining enough is the question then for a pit stop for intermediate compound tyres, or are some people going to gamble then maybe for a pit stop then for a new set of medium compound tyres or something like that, potentially, like B Rabbit 3 laps ago. He's gambled on the medium compound tyres here, and maybe we'll be reaping the benefits now, of course, on that fresh tyre as well then, because of course as Vintage has left the session then. Unfortunately, Vintage, and he's out of the race as it stands in. Unfortunately, with that situation, then into the pits comes Young Lights in. More pit stop action. R2B also in the pit lane as well. Then trying to slow the car down. And I think there's going to be more intermediate compound tyres going on these cars here tonight. But is it the right call? Is the question. I'm not sure. Lucas Percy heading through the hotel section. Is he gaining on the drivers ahead of the intermediate compound tyres going on Young Lights' car then, and for R2B as well? Then heading out of the pit lane now. Then where will he be in comparison to Lucas Percy? It's going to be close, I think, but out of the pit lane now, then comes R2B, then under turn 1 we go, then out of the pits comes Young Lights, then right behind Kiki, and this is where we're going to find out very shortly then what the situation is with the tyres. Chappers has passed Farf, then has he into the chicane side by side through Farf, with Farf, not side by side because Farf once again ghosting around. But there we go then, Mumford and Vessia then through the chicane. There's contact then, and Mumford has spun around, and again more problems with people trying to drive through a chicane, it seems then. Farf has back past Chappers then into sector 3 then with some DRS as well. Yeah, it's just, Ginger Rage has passed Vessia as well, then around the outside, then Mumford has been passed by Equaz, who of course has pitted for fresh tyres as well then, or fresher tyres I should say then. Mumford then is down to P10, then Gordo then is struggling around then on these old medium compound tyres. Young Lights, I think, is gaining. I think Vintage is back in the session as well, then Hungry Styles has pitted, or his AI has pitted then for a new set of tyres as well. Then into the pits comes Farf, then Farf is calling it then on the medium compound tyres here as well, then so is Lewis Riley then, so it's definitely, I'm not sure if it's getting heavier, it may be just dampening the track a bit more as the rain carries on forward. Then Vessia in the pits, Equaz in the pits, Mumford in the pits as well then, goodness me, also in the back of Equaz as well, but he's managed to slow the car down just in time. lots and lots of pit stop action, and Gordo is staying out again. So I'm not quite sure Gordo's got the memo here, but he is staying out here in Abu Dhabi. 27 laps now as well then. More pit stop action, then far filtering out then in P9, then Young Lights up into P7. Here's the highest of the intermediate compound runners then. We've got rain here in Abu Dhabi then for the final few laps then of the season, and there's problems in the pit lane. I think Mumford's had an issue then. Well, he's teleported onto the track, I think there. I think he had a spin under the track there, I think, but did Mumford then, but he got himself back underway and trying to get himself back into the fight as well. Then there could be a lot more chopping and changing, especially if it's staying in these conditions. This is exactly the same as we had in ALR Silver Season 2, then in the championship defining race as well for that season. Yellow flags then, I think, for Styles, I think, trying to get himself out of the way there, so that's fair play indeed. Then will we see more stops then? Here comes Brooksy then. Brooksy then is leading the Grand Prix then by 6 seconds now, but will he decide that it is time for the intermediate compound tyres? 10-second penalty for Styles for corner cutting, but Brooksy's staying out then on the hard compound tyres. Chappers is coming in then. Chappers is calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres. Serious Mushroom also in the pit lane. Ginger Rage is staying out then, as well as B Rabbit as well, heading through onto lap 48 now. 10 laps to go at the end of this one then. This is going to get very spicy indeed, and especially if this wet weather continues as well, or if it gets even heavier as well, then heading into the last few laps as well then of this Grand Prix, of this season as well, then I should say. Mushroom then, intermediate compound tyres then, a very slow pit stop then for Mushroom, unfortunately. Chappers also in the pits as well. Has been held then, I think, serving a 10-second penalty then for Chappers, unfortunately for him then. Kiki is also in the pits, calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres then. So intermediate compound tyres is the way to go then for the majority of the field as it stands then. Is anybody going to chance it then? Oh, it looks like B Rabbit's going to try and chance it to get to the end of the Grand Prix. It is definitely getting a bit wetter out there on the circuit, I would imagine. That DRS still enabled then as it stands, as we go through into the chicane once again then. Yellow flags then, it's yellow flags for reflection again in the same place in the hotel complex then for reflection on the intermediate compound tyres as well. Then he's struggling out there. Gordo has been passed by Young Lights, then Gordo has been passed by an intermediate runner then of Young Lights, and up into P4 now for Young Lights as we head onto the back straight then, but there's still DRS available then as well. Chappers, no, it's not Chappers, it's Reflection, who's had an issue trying to get himself into the pit lane, I think then, and has been teleported back onto the circuit, then needs to try and get himself back round the circuit to pit and quit on the next attempt then. So there we are then. 14 seconds the gap out in front then to Brooksy and B Rabbit then. Ginger Rage has done 36 laps on his hard compound tyres. I don't know if Ginger Rage is aware of that, but he might want to be thinking about a pit stop here, and he is coming into the pit lane now then, so he's calling it a day then on the hard compound as well then for Ginger Rage. Into the pits he comes in, and the top two have stayed out then on their dry compound tyres, I should say. Ginger Rage then opting to come into the pit lane and call it a day then on the hard compound, intermediate compound tyres going on then. It is quite funny to see here in, I don't know if Vintage got himself back in the car, did he? I think he did then, yeah, but he's staying out on the medium compound tyres. It is definitely raining heavier now. Ginger Rage out onto the track then, currently in P10. Where is Ekbaz then? He's coming around turn 1 then. Ginger Rage is on a fight then for that final points paying position. Can he get himself out of the pit lane ahead of Ekbaz is the question. Yes, he can, just about then. And of course, as I found out in Brazil, if you pit too early on the intermediate compound tyres and it is still too dry on the track, even though it might be already raining on the track, then if it's a bit too early, then those intermediate compound tyres burn out very quickly indeed. And so even by the time it actually started raining in Brazil, my intermediate compound tyres were already ready for another pit stop. It was that bad. So there we go then. Ginger Rage might have made a master stroke then, staying out then for a few more laps then, maybe learning from my my troubles as well then in Brazil in the gold race, that is a few weeks ago now. And Reflection's got 10 seconds away for speeding in the pit lane, and I think unfortunately for Reflection that's his race over then as well. Then yes, he's in the pit lane. He has quit in the pits as well then. And that is him done and dusted here in the 100% league. And well, there we are then. We'll be making a announcement then on the stream then, and of course in the Discord then in the next few minutes or so then, when the race is coming to the end, about the 100% league as well. Then Gordo's been passed then by R2 Beat. Then Gordo is struggling on out there as well, but he's I think coming in the pit lane now then, calling it a day then on his tyres, on those medium compound tyres I should say. He's got a penalty then for his efforts as well then into the pit lane for the Aston Martin, I should say. Then top two then are the only drivers then who are still out then on the dry compound tyres then. That is going to be well, interesting stuff indeed. Then we'll have to wait and see. Gordon then coming out of the pit lane, or coming into the pit lane now, I should say. Then we'll be ahead of Kiki, I think, just about as we cruise on to lap 50 or 58 here, as it is getting spicy indeed. Look at this. Wet compound, or intermediate compound tyres at least then for the 17, not 17, 8, 16, 15 drivers or so. Goodness me, I can't do the maths. Then top 2 on the medium compound tyres in terms of Bree Rabbit, then hard compound tyres for Brooksy. And I think, yeah, it depends on how heavy it starts to rain. Then it's still DRS enabled, I think, at this point, I believe. Has Lewis Riley got DRS then? Yes, he has then. So, yes, there is DRS still available then. Into the chicane we go, and Chappers and Vessia then battling away. And on the exit then, Chappers has got a good traction there on the intermediate compound tyres as well then, and has some DRS to play with as well then, heading into sector 3 then. He's got the pace, has he? Or has he got the pace is the question. Trying to go around the outside of the Aston Martin then, but he can't get himself past, I don't think. They're both of them harvesting energy, it looks like, as well then. But of course, those lights do come on then when it starts to rain as well then. But it's not wet enough then for DRS to be deactivated at this point then, according to the FIA race director. So we're going to be cracking on then as it stands then with the situation as it is then. But out in front, Brooksy has relinquished the lead then. Brooksy into the pit lane here. He's calling it a day on the hard compound tyres he was on, sorry. Onto intermediate compound tyres then for Brooksy then. And out of the pit lane, where will he be? Yeah, it's going to be close indeed, actually, with Farf and Young Lights as well. Then I think he's coming out of the pit lane with his teammate as well, very close, out ahead of his teammate just about then, and right behind Farf then. Is he going to make a Verstappen move then into the hairpin? Not quite, but now on intermediate compound tyres. So only one driver left on intermediate compound tyres, and that is B Rabbit then. And it could be good news, it could be bad news for B Rabbit then at this stage of the race then, with only 7 laps to go then at the end of this lap as well. Then Brooksy has passed Farf then on his fresher intermediate compound tyres, and looks like Lewis Riley is going to go for a move, is he? Not quite then, and once again Farf ghosting as well. RTB's been passed by Lucas Percy then for P6 into the final into the sector 2 chicane, sorry. 1.4 seconds the gap then. Kiki's got a penalty there. 1.4 seconds the gap then is the difference then between the top 2, and I think this is just showing that the intermediate compound tyres and Abu Dhabi of all places is the better tyre. And unfortunately with B Rabbit then, it's the wrong call then. Brooksy made the call then, I think, just on that lap then, which probably was a good time to make it as well. And he's only 2.5 seconds off the lead then. It just shows that B Rabbit has been struggling on this lap then with those medium compound tyres then. Young Lights trying to go through then in the final penultimate corner then. He's got himself up into the race lead as Young Lights now, and takes away the position then from B Rabbit, who's into the pit lane then and is calling it a day on the medium compound tyres here as well. But my goodness me then, what a fantastic end to this this season, and a fantastic end to this race as well. Then we're going to have intermediate compound tyres, I think, for every driver that's left in the race here as well then, which is I don't think it's been seen before, has it? Even in the silver race in season 2, we had Lewis Riley then stepping out then at turn 3 then. Lewis Riley then having a few issues then, trying to get himself back on the way then, but he's got himself sorted. Like I said, even in the silver race in season 2 then of Abu Dhabi, the final race then, the championship crowning race as well then, in season 2 of silver, long time ago now, but we had rain just like this as well then. But there was the majority of the field, it was quite split through the field then, who was going to go, who stayed on dry compound tyres and who pit for inters. In the 100% league, they've all gone for intermediate compound tyres here, so it is raining enough then for the intermediate compound tyres. It's not raining enough then for the DRS to be deactivated just yet, although I don't believe. It doesn't look like it anyway, so they are going to carry on then with the DRS then as it stands there. But yes, it's interesting stuff indeed out there with the wet situation then in Abu Dhabi of all places. Then this is well, I know it's happened before then, but it is not very regular stuff indeed to see rain here in Abu Dhabi. Chapper's up into P9 now, passing Vessia then for that position as well. Then Equaz now trying to get into the points paying positions. Then Mumford then is waiting in the wings as well. Then B Rabbit on the freshest tyres on the grid then. Could be able to sneak a few positions here actually, especially with the penalties, as DRS has been disabled now, so it is wet enough now for the DRS to be disabled then, so it is definitely getting wetter out there on track then, with 5 laps to go then at the end of this one. could see some pretty good action indeed then. Brooksy is caught up to the race leader. I think the problem, like I was saying then, is if you pit too early for intermediate compound tyres, they will definitely start to overheat then, and you'll get a lot of tyre wear very quickly indeed then, as here comes Brooksy. Now with DRS disabled, then that will help cool the tyres down, of course, but well, it definitely means that it's doing wet enough on track then to cool the tyres down as well, I should say. But Brooksy now is going to have to do the hard work then without any DRS then down this straight. Then Brooksy has taken the lead of the Grand Prix onto the back straight as well, I should say then, and up into P1 for the Ferrari driver. Of course, he qualified then up in pole position as well then, so looking good indeed for Brooksy then as it stands. And Farf is currently got no penalties then, so Farf could currently win this Grand Prix. I would imagine that is definitely not what's happening for Ginger Age, and Ginger Age doesn't want that to happen, of course. Mumford and Equaz are battling. Goodness me, no, there they are. Mumford and Equaz are battling for that P11 position. They're trying to get themselves past Vess here now as well then. DRS now has been deactivated, so Ginger Age is in the points paying positions as it stands then, but penalties might play a factor then towards the end of this Grand Prix as well. We'll have to find out then. So Young Lights now on, Brooksy on his fresh intermediate compound tyres has pitted at a later date then, a later time I should say, later lap than the rest of the field then, but has now maximised the pace then on those intermediate compound tyres, and of course has much less wear than those on the who pitted then on, who was in the dry conditions technically still, even though it was still raining then. But Young Lights now under pressure from Farf then into the final corner, and once again Farf has ghosted then and going through into turn 1 then, so I'm not quite sure, like I said, what is happening then between those two, but yes, interesting stuff indeed. Lewis Riley then into P4, then Lucas Percy up into P5 now. R2 Beat then right behind in P6, then looking for a good result for him as well, and same for Serious Mushroom and for Ginger Age as well, potentially points on the cards then. Chappers then is going to try and do his might then to battle through turn 3 then. That car looks like it's very drifty through turn 2 and 3 for the Haas then, as we go into the hairpin then on lap 54 then of 58 then, with 4.5 laps to go then in this race, in this season I should say as well then. Penalty wise, we've got 10 seconds for Percy, then that will drop him behind both R2B and Mushroom. Same for Lewis Riley as well, with his 12-second penalties. I believe that will drop him behind those two, and Lucas Percy potentially as well then, if Percy can get himself within that range then of that 2-second window. 9 seconds for Lights, then that will demote him down the order. Then 9 seconds for Brooksy, then that could mean Favre is on the top step at the podium here as it stands then in Abu Dhabi then, which is going to be well, we don't want to do that, we don't want to see that, but unfortunately it is the case. Nonetheless, we cruise through then. 12 seconds for Ginger Age, then that would, I think, demote him unfortunately outside of the top 10 then, as it stands with the Chappers, Vessia and Mumford in close proximity, and Equaz as well then. B Rabbit then is cruising around then on the intermediate compound tyres, unfortunately then is not making gains as we would have thought then at this stage. Gordo's got 3 seconds, as Kiki's got 9 seconds, 6 for Vintage and 16 for Styles as well then. 3 seconds, another one for Ginger Age. Unfortunately he's going to go for more penalties than he's going for in Qatar last week. He's now under pressure from Chappers then into the final quarter as well here. Right then. So all Farf needs to do is try and keep, as Chappers has gone past them before the first turn then, up into P8 now for Chappers then, on a charge then on the intermediate compound tyres for the Haas then. Good stuff, needs splitting the McLaren pair as it stands as well then. Mushroom is on the charge as well then, trying to get himself past R2 Beat then. R2 Beat is not far away from Percy as it stands here at this moment. Right then. Oh, it's hard to beat the, so Mushroom has gone for a move then at the famous hairpin for Mushroom then. It seems like actually is overtaking place tonight then, isn't it? Vintage has got a 3-second penalty as well then. R2B coming back at the Mushroom then, down the back straight then. There we are then, heading into the chicane for one of the 55th time I think we are, almost there. We're cruising into the final laps and my voice has just about held on for this point, to this point of the race, and it'll probably give up before we get to the checkered flag, but there we go. So there we go, fantastic stuff. Hard to be back past then, but they've lost a lot of time then to Percy and all of that shenanigans as well then. So cruising into sector 3 then on lap 55 then, 3 laps to go then, 56, 57 and 58 very momentarily then, as Ginger Age has been passed by Vessia then. Vessia up into P9 here, and unfortunately that is Ginger Age then out of the point paying positions unfortunately at this stage, with the likes of Mumford and Equaz in close proximity as well then, with the penalty situation that is. But there we are then. Farf then is 3 seconds behind then. He needs to, Brooksy, if Brooksy can gain 6 more seconds in the next 3 laps then, he could claim the win here still. So it's not out of the question, and especially with Farf's older tyres, maybe a bit more worn and a bit more overheated. Let's just say that in racing in the dry or drier conditions. Yeah, Brooks can get himself a 9-second gap, then he can win this Grand Prix then on track, that is. But even with the penalty situation then for the Ferrari driver, then it's not all done and dusted just yet, though, I don't think. So we'll have to wait and see. Lewis Riley's got himself back into contention with Young Lights as well here. So both the Ferraris on a bit of a charge now as it stands then. And heading into the final few laps here in Abu Dhabi then, final few laps then of the 2024 season then, and this has been absolutely brilliant stuff indeed. And of course we're going to be in Abu Dhabi then on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday then for the finale, sorry I should say then, of gold, silver and bronze, and that is definitely very wet out there in the chicane then, isn't it? Maybe it's more wet in certain parts of the circuit then as well. Then it seems like it is definitely the ice has been disabled, so it's definitely raining enough. So we can tell that from the DRS being disabled. Then as they got, I think that was lights going a bit wide then, into, unless it's Lewis Riley's connection then as well, but maybe it is both of them, but I'm not quite sure. But Favre then is keeping within that 9-second gap then of Brooksy on lap 56. That is 2 laps to go then at the end of this one. And we go through then into the final couple of laps now, onto the penultimate lap of the race then momentarily then from Brooksy then heading into lap 57 of 58 now. And there we go then, as we cruise through then, there's quite a few positions that will be moved and switched around, I think then, especially with the sensitive situation with the penalties into the sector 2 chicane then as well, especially with that sort of thing going on. Yeah, intermediate compact tyres for the last sort of 12 laps or so for the majority of the field then, and a few drivers have switched later than others, and I think the drivers who have switched later then are benefiting more than the drivers who have pitted a bit earlier this time now as well. And unfortunately for B Rabbit then, not the case then, I think Gordon's going to get himself passed into P13 very momentarily as well. But Brooksy then, who pitted only 6 laps ago then on the lap 51, then is on for a race-winning strategy, I think, here, or race-winning strategy on track, that is, because of course we are looking at the penalty situation. 9 seconds for Brooksy then, and 9 for Young Lights as well then, and 12 for Lewis Riley, 10 for Lucas Percy. So there's going to be quite a few. Could it be a double Alpine podium here? We might be looking at a double Alpine podium then. Let's have a look and see what the gap to leader is. RTB is 11 seconds away then from the race lead then, so if he can get himself into another 2.5 seconds or so, then he could get himself in a 1-2 finish then for the Alpine team. Then that would be pretty impressive stuff indeed. He's in a bit of a battle then with Mushroom heading into sector 3 then on the penultimate lap now as well, but yeah, I think he might be on for a podium here anyway, because I think he'll get past the likes of Young Lights, Lewis Riley and Lucas Percy for that P3 position then as it stands, unless Mushroom has something to say about it, because Mushroom is on a charge then, looking to get himself a podium here as well potentially. And heading on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, the final lap of the season, the final lap of F1 2024 in the 100% season 3 as well, that is. So yeah, we're not there, not just there quite yet, but almost there. Of course, next season in total then will be a short season for ALR, then just get themselves sorted and out of the way then before April, before the end of April I think it is. So we'll be before the Miami Grand Prix. But there we are then, 3.8 seconds the gap then out in front. Then that is not enough for Brooksy to hold the race lead over the start finish line. Then it is definitely that chicane. Look how wet it is at this chicane as well. Lewis Riley and Young Lights are battling, and there's contact between the two of them there as well. Then once again more fantastic shows then at a chicane then for tonight's race, and Young Lights then is just having a few issues with that, it seems like, as well. And so there we are. God. Right then, we'll come back to that. No, we won't. We'll come back to this one, because Lewis Riley going around the outside. It is absolutely raining cats and dogs now here in Abu Dhabi, and yeah, Lewis Riley then being forced slightly off the circuit there as well. Then, but now as they can't keep the car under control, it looks like then as well. Then here comes Brooksy around the final few corners, then into the penultimate corner. Then for Brooksy, then he's going to cruise up to the line. Then on lap 58 here, he's going to win it on track. Then, but I think. This is going to be very bad news for most people, but here comes Favre. Favre is going to win the final race. He's been disqualified. Okay. Oh my god. I have no idea what is going on here then. There's fantastic stuff indeed to finish off the final race of the season. But I think Farf won it. That's quite funny. But yeah, there we go then. Well, there we are. Brooksy wins. So I don't know what happened there. That is quite odd indeed. I'm not quite sure what he got disqualified for. Does anybody know? Didn't anybody see what he got disqualified for then? But I don't know what happened there. That's yeah, I think he won. I'm not quite sure because he definitely used different compounds of tyres. DRS was disabled, so it was definitely intermediate compound tyres as well then. Very odd. Bradley is DNF'd. So is Percy as well then. Fantastic. Well, what an end to the season this has been. Yeah. Okay, well there we are then. So that's that then for the 100% league then. Well, the announcement was going to be, unfortunately, there's not going to be any event league next season. Then that is it for the event league for next season as well. Then there will be no 100% league, nothing going on then next season. Of course, it's a short season anyway, so we're going to be focusing on sorting out the 3 divisions then, gold, silver and bronze next season as well. And that will be it then for the 100% league. Then we might be bringing it back there on F125, but we'll have to wait and see what the situation is like then. But after races like this tonight, who knows? But yeah, that'll be it then, unfortunately, for the 100% league. That is it, done and dusted then for F124. We will not be returning for F120 in 2025 then for the F124 game, that is. Next season then will be no event league then here in ALR, but potentially returning then for F125 then. We'll wait and see. But there is your podium sitters. Then we'll have to figure out exactly what happened there as well then, because we're not quite sure what happened. But yeah, it looks like Brooksy then takes the win. R to beat P2 and Mushroom in P3. And there we are then. We'll run through the classification in just a jiffy then. But I think, yeah, a lot of people then left the session early as well then. So we're going to have absolute chaos trying to sort this out. And fantastic stuff indeed. Well, I was looking forward to an early night then tonight. But there we are then. After a madness, we all ended up close at the end, says Equaz then as well. Then good stuff from Equaz, who finished in the points as well then from the back of the field. So there we go then. Brooksy then P1, then R to beat P2, Mushroom P3, then Chappers P4, Mumford P5, Vessia P6, Equaz P7. I don't know why I'm reading this out, to be fair, because most of it is going to be absolutely wrong. Anyway, so there we go. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll save that, and yeah, we'll have a look at the classification properly. Then we'll get that published on the socials or something like that. There we go then. Good stuff indeed then to finish off the season of 100% League. We are done and dusted here in the 100% division then. Like I said, for the remainder of F124 then, there will be no 100% League next season as well then. So yeah, we'll be just cracking on with the 3 divisions then, that is, and then cruising on to F125 then, potentially bringing back the event league as well for that one. But yeah, it'll be a short season, like I said, only a 15, 16 rounds next season anyway, so we'll be able to breeze through that one and get F124 done and dusted and on to hopefully F125 if we can. Right then, we'll start off with some interviews, I think. Bear me 1 second whilst I get myself sorted. I don't know who to interview first, to be fair, but we'll interview some people. Farf, then, I think you got the win.
I think you got the win, to be fair. I'm not quite sure what happened there in the end.
Disqualified. Can you tell us why or what for, or what was going on there?
Narp.
Well, you need to give me some sort of insight, please, mate, because I don't know I don't know if I should interview at all. Then in that case, I can just disqualify you and then talk to Brooksy instead.
I've got no idea. Literally no idea.
You were ghosting for most of that race as well. Then in situations where people were trying to overtake you, or you were overtaking as well. Did you have anything problems with your internet tonight?
No. Literally started from the start of the race. There's a few of us, I think.
Brilliant stuff indeed then, and yeah, great stuff indeed. Well, we'll have, like I said, I don't even know if you won the race, to be fair, because I don't know, but yeah, good stuff. Well done indeed. We'll go on to Brooksy then. Brooksy then, Mushroom left the pie. Where's Mushroom gone? Okay. Brooksy, then you got yourself a result at least. I don't know where you finished in the end, but I think it was P2. It probably was P2, but it might be P1. Who knows? How are you feeling after that one? And what was your thoughts when it was raining in Abu Dhabi of all places?
What a shit show. No, it was alright. Farf was ghosting for everyone for some reason, and then I saw at the end of the classification he got disqualified. So I'm not sure whether the game didn't want him to win or he had some internet issues or something like that.
Fair enough then. And how was the race from yourself, from your point of view?
Yeah, it was alright to be fair. I was just trying to enjoy it. It was a long race. Didn't want to like battle too hard with people, like lose the train, but it's a good race overall.
Good stuff indeed. And like I said, well, it was a pretty good race from your point of view. I think, like I said, penalties were, I think that was costly in the end. But lots of people had penalties out there as well. Then tonight, especially in the last few laps, then in those intermediate conditions. And like I said, in terms of getting through the race as quickly as possible, then it seemed like I think a few drivers were trying to get themselves onto the intermediate compound tyres to get to the end, but you stuck it out on the I think it was the hard compound tyres in the final stint there, or before the intermediate stint. Did you realise that might be another repeat of Brazil then, with in terms of trying to keep the tyres less overheating, less worn, I should say, into the final stint as well then, because the DRS wasn't disabled in the first 5-6 laps or so of the intermediate compound tyres going on most cars.
Well, I was hoping to stay out like it was last game with Hungary. I was hoping to stay out, but then the rain got a bit heavier. So I thought the longer I leave it, like the fresher my tyres gonna be. And then I come out just behind Farf after I pitted for intermediates. And then my tyres were like fresher compared to theirs, so kind of got off a bit quicker than them.
Fair play indeed, and like I said, make sure you get your pens removed so that Varv doesn't win. And good stuff indeed. R2 Beat, we'll come to you next. Then we will be well, I think you're the P3 man in this race. I'm not quite sure. Again, as I said with everyone, but you got yourself a good result then once again in the Alpine this time then, and your first podium I think for the Alpine team since your switch then. So how are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, it went all over the place. It was first stint was horrible until the safety car, and then on the hards I had a good pace and I could follow the lead group, and that was it was fun to battle, and it was in my opinion in the beginning there was a lot of spins in the chicane, so I overtook like every lap 1 or 2 cars that spun around. And then it starts raining, and then mostly I'm struggling in the rain. So, and it happened then again. In the first part it was okay, but in the end, I think tires were too hot or something. So I was sliding all over the place. But yeah, it's fun to drive in the rain in Abu Dhabi.
Is it the first time you've done that as well?
Yes.
Well, there you go. A bit of practice as well then. Good stuff indeed then. But another good result then from yourself then, rounding off the season then as you started it, of course, then with some fantastic performances as well. Did you expect the rain to fall at the end of that race then as well? Because I think we had a few people that had a bit of contrasting opinions on whether it would.
Yeah, I was first like, okay, it's not gonna happen, and I was driving on the hards, and it was going really well, and then my engineer said like in 10 to 15 minutes, and he did that twice, and then he stopped. And after 10 minutes, he said, yeah, we'll get some rain coming in like few minutes, and then you know it's coming, but you never know what's gonna happen in the desert with rain. So maybe the track keeps dry enough for dry tires. But yeah, in the end, I took the intermediates, and I think it was the best option for me to drive in the rain. So I had fun.
Good stuff indeed, and congratulations then to your podium as well. Then I think it's a podium for you.
Maybe not, maybe 4th or 5th, but it was fun, and I want to thank you very much for the entire season.
Well, thank you very much as well. Then, well, thanks for all the drivers then who have completed the season. To be fair tonight, and to who got themselves through the 22 rounds of this 100% season as well. It's been a long season for all of you, so well done indeed then to cruise to the finish then in the end for every driver as well then who's taken part then, and congratulations to tonight's podium sitters, whichever ones they are, and congratulations of course to our champion then Equaz, then P2 was Gordo, and of course RTB as well, who's joined us on the podium tonight, P3 then, so trophies coming your way as well then, so well done indeed then to those three as well then. Fantastic stuff indeed. Thank you very much for joining us for this season run. We'll be back in Abu Dhabi action then for gold on Sunday, for silver on Monday, and bronze on Tuesday to finish off their seasons as well then. That will be the finale for the three main divisions as well then, so stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up then, and we'll see you very soon.